Oh. Okay, now you guys can hear them.
I can stream the same way as you, or if we want to do a full stream on everyone's.
Yeah.
As in without the camera. I just do a capture on you guys as well.
Well, you capture yourself on Discord, so you're chucking yourself into your scene via a window capture.
Yeah,
This is the camera's catching
I
bigger
capture
screen
the whole
now.
Discord, so I have all of you on my stream.
Oh, that's perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So you should be.
Sorry,
we should be good to go. I need to get a I need to get a new camera, man. I need to get a new camera. I get one this week. This
I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah, and you can add chroma key to anyone else that has a green screen. Like, because I have a green screen, you can actually right click and add a filter chroma key so that I become no green screen or whatever, right? Like that. You can do it to like that. You could set this up pretty seamlessly. Are we ready? Are we ready to go?
Give me just a moment here, and let me make sure. Yeah, it should be good to go.
I'm not sure that green screen would work that well there. Everyone got different lighting.
No. Each individual window capture. So you take the window capture. I made a window capture for each one of your faces.
Yeah, that works.
And then on that specific window capture, you add a filter if they have a green screen.
Thank you to everyone involved for doing this. The community is grateful. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Oh, Henrik, I think this message was actually for you. He said, Housey Poo says, thank you to everyone involved for doing this. The community is grateful. Keep up the great work. Henrik.
Great, thank you. Yeah, 1 second, I'm just also setting up so I can start my streams. We get as much spread as possible on the podcast.
Gotcha.
Henrik, I got all this merch over here. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah.
Look at that Henrik jawline. Good stuff. I think Henrik's going live on his stream, boys, if you want to watch it from his point of view.
All right, it's updated.
But I think everyone's just going to be looking at this screen, so
my window
whatever you guys want to do.
For the actual call, but on my Streamlabs, but now it's
Google image Ian from Mythic Quest. It's Mac from Always Sunny. That show's about an MMORPG too. Wait, what did you just say?
Right,
Mac from Always Sunny. Oh, really? Mythic Quest. Oh, dude, I'll check that out. That sounds fun.
I might be able to help. What was the problem?
Oh, the window for the call, because I have a separate window. For
Can you guys hear them okay? Is the music too loud? Do I need to turn them up? You guys gotta let me know.
I don't know what's. So I have the Discord window. Here, let me just try this.
Turn them up a little bit.
Okay, there we go. That fixed it. So, I was having the issue when I was,
They're a bit low. Okay.
what's it called?
I'm turning them up now
There
a
we
little
go.
bit.
Okay, I think I'm good. I was
Maybe
having
a
the
little bit
issue when I created a
better.
separate window for the call. It wasn't showing up under the window capture. I just need to cover up part of my Discord. Man, it's just so scuffed.
Well, it looks good on my end. So it's not too bad.
Okay. Alright. There we go. And because the call is black, I don't have to like resize or anything. I'm gonna do it anyway, just so you guys show up more. There we go. And then of course I gotta
I need 3 flushes.
easy. There we go.
By the way, do you guys also see that line between me and Henrik?
The line?
Oh, wait, what line are you talking about? Oh yeah, what the hell? That's weird.
What?
I don't see it. What are we looking at?
I'm not
I don't
next
see
to
a
you on my
line.
screen, Rolufe.
Oh, I think it's on.
Okay.
Let me put in non-copyright
Nope.
music.
I'm not sure what this.
Henrik and Rolufe are just in their basements with all the lights turned off, like pitch black.
Yeah, I don't have a very good scene set up. It doesn't look very professional on my camera, actually. I need to, I guess, get some real lightnings in green screen.
Copyright
Yeah.
free.
I look like an amateur compared to you guys.
Well, my camera like expanded from my normal scene, so you could see like past the fucking
All green.
background.
Yeah.
So
Oh well. Oh.
There we go. Okay, there we go. I guess.
Henrik and
That's
Putzin
too
stream.
low-fi.
What the? Everyone is way
Guys,
too
you got
low?
a playlist
Okay.
that you recommend?
I play here. I have your emergency needing one. I play Video Game Study Lounge, which is really nice. Mostly copyright free. I think it's almost. There's other. Let me think. I mean, you can go with if you really want fully safe DMC free. Go to Harris
It's on
Heller
Apple
Stream
TV.
Beats.
Okay.
Use the lo-fi playlist. I can link it to you. Share, copy link. Who's needing it?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good now.
You could? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That one's perfectly DMCA. I separate my audio tracks now, so I play copyright music sometimes.
Yeah, there's a playlist that I use for my streams. I just was having issues finding it on Spotify. Spotify can be a little weird.
Well,
to
I'll
navigate
ask him,
sometimes
Majundo.
for me.
We're not sure
Maybe
yet.
because I'm a boomer in the inside. I don't know. All right, so I think we
Rolufe
can
just
finally
tried to
get started. Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, I can hear Nazori. Henrik, can you say something?
Yes, hello.
All right, cool. Rolufe?
Yeah, hello.
Awesome. And then Putzin.
Yo.
All right, awesome. All right, let's get this started, boys.
All right.
All right, here we go. All right, chat. Thank you very much for coming to another Crusaders Corner podcast. I have here some of the most Chad MMO players out there, and on the internet, and of course, one of the actually the CEO. I got a CEO in here, boys. So, yeah. Anyways, so let's get started. So, I'm gonna start from top to bottom. So we have Putzin here, who is a Mortal Online 2 streamer. He's also a Mortal Online vet overall, and he's definitely he streams consistently for Mortal Online 2. So again, thank you for coming, Putzin.
Yeah, no problem, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I got Rolufe here as well, who's been following the game and been supporting the game since pretty much early Combat Alpha, and he's also a Mortal Online 1 vet, and he's been around for a while. I'm pretty sure most of the Mortal Online community knows who he is. Rolufe, thank you very much for helping me get this set up. He did help me get this set up. He got me in touch with Henrik in order to have him here. And again, Rolufe, thank you very much for everything that you've done to help, and also for coming by.
Yeah. No problem.
And now, I don't think we need a lot of introductions for this next man. This is the CEO of StarVault, who are developing Mortal Online 2, the chaddest of chads, the $1 million chin, Henrik Nystrom. I don't know how to say your last name, man.
Yeah, Nystrom is good. Thank you for that
Nystrom.
introduction. Yeah, Nystrom is good.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming, Henrik. Really appreciate it. I know you have a very busy schedule, so any time that you could make to come and by is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I see that I have some audio issues on my Mortal stream. They can hear me, but not you guys. Just 1 second, see if I can get the sound from Discord, guys.
Yeah, no worries, take your time. And then last but definitely not least, local e-boy / Albion online streamer. He participated in Mortal Online 2's first stress test, and overall banger of a player. He kicks ass in 2s in Albion. Big boy PvPer, Nazori. Nazori, thank you very much for coming, man. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, more than happy to have people that want to participate and enjoy the game overall. It's always good to have creators definitely participate and be active in the game. It's healthy for the game. So again, thank you guys very much for coming in. So first things first, if you want, so I know I already introduced you guys, but you guys want to talk a little bit about y'all's content?
Yeah. You want me to start off?
Yeah, Nazori, go for it.
Sure. So I've been streaming for about 2 years. I love hardcore MMOs, big into Albion Eve. Somehow I missed Mortal Online 1 and just recently discovered 2 with the first stress test. So absolutely, I sunk way too many hours into a stress test. So I'm really excited to get going on that. But yeah, mostly for me, it's games with a challenge or hardcore games. And so yeah, Mortal Online's like right up my alley. So yeah, loved it so far and looking forward to see what changes are in the game now.
Yeah, right on. All right. Anyone else? Rolufe, Putzin?
I can go. I've been streaming for about 3 years, but the last 9 months I basically burnt out. So been resting up a bit and working on starting a company.
Oh, right on, man.
And what kind of company can you? Is that secret?
Oh no, it's not secret. It's basically just helping people setting up their streams and well, yeah, everything that has to do with streaming and recording and stuff like that.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
Nice.
How easy is it to make a business in Sweden?
It's about irritating.
It's a bit irritating.
Yeah, I know in the United States you can create an LLC, and I think it's like $50 to do it, and then that's it.
Oh, it's
can help
actually
Henrik.
free setting a company up.
He probably does help Henrik.
Oh,
It's
really?
We've known each other for a while. So.
Yeah, it's just a lot of paperwork stuff.
Oh yeah, I bet. I could only imagine, man. And Putin, you want to talk a little bit about your content, about your OnlyFans?
Yeah, my OnlyFans. Yeah, I actually just started streaming recently. I just recently got a computer that could even stream anything. Like I did not have a good computer before at all. So I've been streaming. I don't know, 4 months or something, 4 to 6 months. I don't even really know. But my whole goal is to stream Mortal. That's all I want to do. I have my own guild in the game. I want to stream it every day if I can. I want to make it either a part-time or a full-time job just so I could stream. I'm really into MMOs and RPGs and stuff like that, so this is perfect for me. And sometimes I dye my hair on stream.
Damn, hot tub stream when though?
Soon. As soon as I get that kiddie pool and the jet streams going in it, hey, we're there.
Sheesh. All right. Monka. But all right, and then obviously last but not least, Henrik, do you want to talk a little bit about your game, what you do, how'd you get into making?
Yeah,
Mortal?
Sure. It's a long story.
Love long stories.
Yeah, no, I mean I can talk forever in terms of the story of Star Wars and Mortal Online. So, and I don't know what kind of part is most interested for you guys. So that is why I'm open to hit the different topics and areas. But yeah, as you may know, my interest started back in 1996, pretty much when I was first engaged in Ultima Online, one of that that old MMORPG on the market, one of the first client-based MMO, and that was pretty much for me. I got hooked instantly, even though I was playing on a 28 modem, dial-up, horrible connection, and it was to the American servers. And but the experience was just awesome. So that was kind of where it started for me personally. That was where the roots for starting the whole project that we are doing right now. And yeah, many years later, I started to combine the entrepreneurship business side with actually the game development, and started to build up a goal to be able to design the so-called perfect sandbox MMORPG, because there was nothing on the market that I could find that was close to feeling the experience specifically from Ultima Online back in the days. I've tried pretty much all type of MMOs since then, but I can't really find something that feels that kind of experience. So that is the very rough and short question in terms of where we are today, so many years later.
And MO2 takes a lot of inspiration from Ultima, doesn't it?
Yeah. 1 second, sorry. I'm just gonna stop my stream on Mortal, guys, because I can't get the sound from you guys. I don't know what's wrong. So, guys, if you wanna follow, watch the podcast, please just go into one of those other guys streaming here live right now, and you can hopefully hear all of us in a good way. So I'm gonna stop my own stream.
Mortal Online 2 raid for me, Smile. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think that you just can search for Mortal Online 2, right? You're in that category, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So I'm pausing mine. Thank you, guys. Okay, so now I should be only focusing on your window. So, okay, sorry again. What was the question? Let's get back to it.
Mine, or was I guess you were just introducing what you were doing, like, and how you got into game dev and whatnot. But I think pretty well said it.
My camera's so like
Yeah.
out a little bit.
So how I got into game development?
I'm interested to know that. Yeah, actually.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I'm actually
Yeah.
curious. You like, just
mean-
like wake up one day and be like, man, I'm gonna make Mortal Online.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was been a big gamer. I love playing games, obviously, and I have a high passion for RTS games, FPS games, quite wide. I played Diablo as well quite a lot, and obviously World of Warcraft. No, the RTS versions, Warcraft, Orcs and Humans. I think the first title was named, right?
Was it?
That was awesome.
Yeah, I also played, Generals, Red Alert, Command and Conquer, but I also played quite a lot games like Quake. I was actually competing in the Nordic Championship back in the days, so I had some
Thank you for the follow,
decent Twitch
Sir
aim skills
Evo.
back in the days when I was
Evo.
a bit more
I
active and
appreciate
playing
the call, buddy.
quite a lot more. But yeah, I was playing quite a lot, and like I said, and I have a high interest for games like
player
Ultimate Alliance,
for
Star Wars Galaxies. Everything started with those games in terms of what I was really passionate about. Also played that mod Dota. That is not a mod anymore. Dota 2, right? The standalone version.
Yeah.
We have League of Legends. The first mod that was created on Warcraft, the RTS game, the first Dota mod. I started playing that quite a lot as well. And when I was studying the later year in
What's his experience with
game
knowledge, whatever
development
quiz is?
up
I'll
in
ask him.
Sweden, I was actually doing a pitch on. I thought that this could be a big game, I think, and it could be a big esport game, the Dota game. And it was so small when it just started, so there wasn't that many that knew what that game was all about. But I was instantly hooked and thought this could be a big esport game in the future. It's awesome team play. You can play for everything from 20 minutes to a few hours if it's extremely even. So I pitched that game to actually start a project and create
With all these beards.
create
Yeah,
a real
Henrik, the
standalone
legend.
Dota game. So I pitched that for the panel of major Sweden companies, game development in Sweden, companies like Massive and so on, Ubisoft, Massive, so quite large companies. And it told me that it was a great pitch, but we don't believe that it's going to be a big market.
What?
So
So wait,
Wow.
you pitched League of Legends essentially, and they said it wasn't going to be a big market.
yeah, and this was very early
Like-
on, so I don't blame them. It wasn't really on the market. There was no indication, but me as a hardcore player, I played non-stop and I thought this is going to be awesome. But there was
got
a
the big
major
boy
issue
beard.
in this
Yeah.
mod, and that was because the game wasn't built as a standalone to support those kind of functions. When someone left, it was a rage, and all the rules wasn't supported because it was a
They stole his
mod
idea.
based on the RTS
stole
game,
it.
right? So
Yeah.
so I thought we could make a perfect version, standalone, that is a Dota game and is built to be that only. But yeah, I didn't get a proper feedback that it wouldn't be a big hit on the market. There wasn't an audience for it. That the expert told me. So obviously that put me off and said, okay, they're right. I'm new in this industry, so they're probably right, I thought. So I put that to the side and I picked up my other project that I was also extremely passionate about, but I knew that it was a bigger challenge and it required more, and that was Mortal Online. But that one we pretty much just started it on our own because I knew that type of game from inside and out very true and close to my heart. So there was no doubt that I wanted to do this in the future. It was just a matter of gathering the team, the knowledge and the skills, the technology, and the right partners, and funding the project, which of course all those things are the big challenges of these type of games. So it was an interesting turn how everything changes. The plan was to create Dota or League of Legends first of all. But yeah, there wasn't a big interest in back then. and it was quite ironic because a few years later, these games arrived, right? Dota 2, League of Legends, and when we met at some of these gaming convention, he walked up to me and said, "Shit, Henrik, why the hell didn't we do this? Because it's the biggest game in the world." So it's quite interesting. But no one knew back then when it was just starting. Cool hoodie, by the way, Putzin. I didn't notice.
Yeah, man. Look at this. I got the mug too, man.
Ah, awesome.
Putzin, your setup is super clean for someone who just started streaming. Well done.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah, wow.
it's thanks to my girlfriend. She's helped me so much with all this stuff. She's so good about it. But yeah, I appreciate it. I'll let her know if she's not watching.
Yeah, it's pretty good setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, your setup is clean AF, man. Like, you look like a big streamer boy, dude. Your fucking setup's cleaner than fucking Aspen Gold.
Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, dude, Asmon's crazy. He's so much money, he just doesn't use any of it. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's insane. Like how you can. Yeah, he definitely blew up, but it's awesome that he actually ran into the game. Like someone like told him about the game, and he actually gave it a look. But we could talk a little bit more about that here in a bit. Do you want to?
I had a quick question. Someone in my chat
go
asked,
for it, man.
Henrik, he said, what was your experience and knowledge of EverQuest when you were in your early days of MO?
Oh yeah, that's an early MMO too. Yeah, besides Ultima.
Yeah, it's true. So the thing was, that was one of those games that caught my attention as well, because it was one of those games that kind of similar as the roots from Ultima Line. But the thing was that I pretty much devoted all my time in Ultima Line. So there was a few games coming out, a few years later that also got a lot of attention. But I was so hooked in Ultima Line that I couldn't really. I think I spent like 11 years into actively playing Ultima Line since day one, and that took a lot of time and devotion. I was obviously running a guild. We had a blast over the years in that game. And then things started to change in that game that also put some of us off. We got Trammel and, they started to change the core of the game. So I wasn't really playing EverQuest much at all. I checked it out, and there was a few things that interested me, but I really didn't get into the game, and mostly due to lack of time, pretty much. So, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I feel that with EverQuest. It was a different game compared to Ultima for sure. Sorry, go ahead, Putzin. Sorry for cutting you off there.
No, I was waiting. Someone had said they want a 5XL hoodie for Obese Mages IRL. What are we doing about that?
Sorry, bigger hoodies.
Yeah, 5XL. So extra.
5XL. Holy crap,
all right.
Dude. How many boots can you fit in there?
Yeah, we're quite restricted. We tried to. I mean, we got the input from our community that it would be awesome to offer some merchandises, and we did what we could to make that happen in a fast and efficient way. So yeah, those are the options that are available from their website, sadly. So yeah, we're stuck with that for now.
Yeah, give me a second. Give me just a second, guys. Hey, yo, tough reminder. I'm not gonna ask you again. Stop antagonizing people in the chat, man. That's not cool. We're all here to hang out and chill. No one's jealous. No one's mad. I'm not gonna deal with that drama. This isn't Discord. This is my chat. So, act right, or you're not gonna be here at all. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
The hoodie is extremely comfortable. Just gotta say, it is actually nice quality. Very good.
I agree. It's really soft. I like the feel of it. So yeah, for sure. The only thing that I heard from one player that got the hoodie, I think it was the hoodie or it was the t-shirt, that be careful about washing it in hot, the temperatures and those things, because that could interfere with the printing. I heard that from someone, so follow the instructions to be careful about that.
Yeah, I had a couple shirts that I was we basically ordered them to see what the quality was, and yeah, a couple of them literally first wash just faded right out.
We can't wash.
I was like, I can't even offer these people. Like, I have to probably look for another company that does that sort of stuff. Seems they skip out sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we didn't really had the time to investigate the printing quality and such. We got a batch, it looked nice, and obviously we haven't had the time to go through them to see how long do they last, the actual printing. But it's true. So hopefully it does last for a decent while. I mean, it's still a really nice hoodie, right? Putzin, even though the printing, if it would wash away, it's still, you know, you have still the...
Just never wash it.
It's extremely
Never wash.
comfortable. Like, I'm not sponsored or anything. It's comfortable. It's nice. Everyone should buy one.
Yeah.
Damn.
Or two.
Okay, hey, real quick, guys. Do I sound really quiet to you guys?
No,
No, you're good.
That's good.
Very good. Yeah, I don't know why. Apparently, my chat's saying that I sound really quiet on stream.
You're really loud for me, I think.
Yeah,
on mine
you're loud
it's
in here.
Equal volume. Yep.
Yeah. You can put the gain on
On
OBS,
OBS, yeah, on OBS. Oh, yeah, it says. Oh, he's saying no on OBS. Is this better, guys? I have the mic closer to me. I'm not gonna eat my mic though. Yeah, I don't know. I have to fix that later. Yeah, that's a little scuffed. An improvement. Yeah, I have like the mic. Sounds fine to me. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
You're good. Audio's good. If there's any audio trouble on your end, probably just turn your like OBS settings up
Dude,
on your end.
my microphone is maxed out on OBS. So I don't know where the issue's coming from, but it's not. I don't think it's gonna ruin the podcast. People are still able to hear me. Yeah. I think it might just be. Hang on. There. Can y'all say something for me?
Thank you.
Yep.
Yo.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go. There we go.
MO2
Okay, yeah.
snuggies.
I don't know. Maybe it was just because I have a
Yeah,
weird
give
like.
me a MO2 hoodie. Dude,
I have a
they're
weird
nice. They're good.
headset. It like separates the game audio from like outside game audio, so it can be a little scuffed at times. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. All right, we're booling. All right. Sorry to cut you off, guys. So what were we talking about again?
Not sure, but I have some questions I'd love to ask Henrik, if you would be willing to answer.
Sure.
So I'm super excited to hear about. I'm sure there's been tons of updates. What kind of what do you expect the service to be able to handle right now?
So when we did the initial or the previous stress test, we got a lot of players, more than we anticipated, and that was really great. And in that case, we made a very specific stress test on one node setup, and that was because we needed to know what are our limits per node, because that is the key for us to how we distribute the nodes over the world. And we got into some very impressive numbers when we just used one node setup. And right now we have added multiple nodes for this next stress test. So we don't have a hard cap in terms of how many players. We noticed that when we, got a few thousand players on one node, that's when we started to notice some different issues in terms of, for instance, when AI were getting behind and such. So
I remember that.
Yeah. So we are adding quite a lot more nodes on Milan right now, so that will distribute the load. And we also have faster CPUs rendering in that type of data. So there should be a big step up from there. And we also have some plans left that will also help us improve this in terms of offloading some of the AI functions to additional types of CPUs. But the thing is that we do have a solution right now where we can just double the amount of nodes if necessary, which means as soon as one node becomes starting to reach its peak and the players are being more and more crowded, we can start splitting them up further. So, and that is something we're going to monitor in this final stress test. It's a lot of high value for us to see if this distribution of nodes are proper and even. So that is also why it's important for us how we distribute resources in the cities, because the nodes are divided in these. So I hope that makes sense what I'm trying to explain.
So I'm sure it's really complicated under the hood. But I guess different sections of the world are a separate server to an extent that can handle a bit of the processing power.
So so it's still, as you know, it's one
like
world. There's no instances or loading when you move over Milan. So what we built is there is a node line that you guys also experienced during the stress test. There were some issues over the node lines.
With the horses? I think everyone remembers.
There are still a few issues, but not as critical as it was at one point. And so what we have is there's what we also call a ghost zone between two real nodes, and that zone pretty much have both the players in the same interest list when you travel from one node to another. Because if you imagine if there's a line and one server stops giving you the data that the one you're chasing moves over to the other node, it will disappear just in front of you. So that would be very strange, right? So that is why we have a solution where there's a additional type of zone that keeps both players. So that means for the players, it's a transition that you don't notice it if you're running with another player. It won't disappear or something like that. And obviously that will be quite critical if you're fighting. So there's quite a lot happening under the hood and that is pretty much invincible for the player. You shouldn't notice that. But there are some issues in terms of AI when they travel these node lines that we're still working on to refine them and polish them. So yeah, that's pretty much how that works.
Cool.
I got kind of a related question to that one. Kind of like, I mean, we'll have a better idea with the stress test, obviously, but like, kind of what numbers are you expecting for launch? And then also with that, like, how do you expect balancing to happen with town sizes? Because, like, let's say we have 6,000 people come, right? Which is probably not a lot for you, but it's kind of like a lot for the towns, right? Like, if you have like 1,000 people in one town, if even like 300 of those people are active at the same time, like, kind of like, how do you think that will play out a bit?
Yeah, that is also why we needed these different cities and main hubs. So hopefully we can try to distribute the players quite a lot. And we also, in this last patch, we made sure that there was this request that Bhakti, Vada, Moki, they are lacking these machines, making them less attractive for a lot of people. So we have added those machines, making sure that all cities works as a very stable foundation for all players. There's nothing critical missing in terms of the daily operations for a player. But yeah, obviously that is one of the big challenges in a game like this, because we don't have a hard cap. So that means that the players can decide to all go to Tinran, for instance. And if we're talking about a few thousands, there will be an obvious strain on the clients, right? If you're standing around 1,000 players, your frame's gonna get a big hit. That is natural. We have pushed the performance and the optimization in that degree quite far. We're very happy with where we are right now as a core step, but we still have a few steps left that will do a huge difference on the client side, and that will really allow us to make really large-scale battles. I mean, I'm sure you experienced some of the large-scale battles in our stress test, which was quite amazing. I think it was awesome to see.
Extremely impressive,
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. And since then, we have done some further optimization, so it's a little bit better. But we have, I think, it's 2 big steps left on our to-do list, where until we are real happy. Okay, now you can throw in a few hundreds, if not thousands, because we're utilizing a different type of system to render these characters that is on a little bit of a distance, almost like rendering particles on your GPU. So we're talking about thousands. We actually utilize this on our Spider Queen, one of the bosses in the latest patch. I don't know if you noticed where it's, there's a rain with small spiders coming off from it. And that is all calculated on the GPU. So it's quite cheap
speaking
to
of
use
spiders,
these particle systems.
Yeah, speaking of spiders, man, y'all did a really good job with the Spider Queen, man. It felt like a Dark Souls boss type of like atmosphere. Like the spider, it like because you go to where it spawns, right? And like I mean, it's obvious where it spawns, like a big ass fucking like room in the cave, right? And you go there, and I saw a few videos already, and like how it works is like it's not there, it's not there, and you walk around, you look around, and the next thing you know, it just drops on top of you. It's like bam, and then like it like screeches and shit, and then like next thing you know, you see like a. By the way, that UI is sick. By the way, like the moment like the fight starts, you see Niter Queen, and then it starts pulling you and like tearing you in half, and like that's awesome, Henrik. Y'all did a really good job with the Spider Queen.
The atmosphere, I didn't see the Spider Queen yet, but the atmosphere of those caves was perfect. I mean, I think it was a little bit dark. But just like when you reach those illuminated rooms, yeah, the atmosphere is real nice in there. It feels very dark and like you're far away from the surface. It's solid.
Yeah.
Those
Boss
spiders
music
are
went.
really nasty.
Yeah, I mean exactly. So as we mentioned before, we tried to push the PV as far
EA
as we
release
possibly can
is
because it
basically
was
the
severely
full
lacking in the
release.
first game, and we know that there's a huge
Because
audience,
there's not
and
gonna
there's
be a wipe
always
after
something
Surveying
exciting
Gold.
for all type of players. If you're a PV player or PvP player, there's always there should always be a good hunt and exploration and some excitement and something to discover and so on. So, and that is what we are stepping into now. We just delivered what we call the Tier 2 AI, and that is those more specific behaviors on specific creatures like the troll, and now we have the spider queen, and we have more in the loop as well, obviously.
Are you looking to cater to you mentioned PvE players? Are you looking to add more features and things to cater more towards people who enjoy the PvE side of things?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we noticed that was a big issue in the first game. So we had the hardcore fans, we had hardcore PvP players, and there obviously we have the depth of the crafting and that part, but the PvE and AI was severely lacking, and it also interfere with the PvP because player was using guards and pets and so on, and if the AI is buggy and it warps up on the roof and into houses, that ruins the PvE aspect as well. So we knew that we had to rebuild the AI to make it more stable and reliable, and of course we wanted to push the PvE experience as well, because we know that there's a large audience that enjoy exploring the world and have a cool
I'll try and fit it in for the
PvE experience as well. So yeah, for sure, and that is why we are stepping up the game big time in the PvE apartment and gonna offer more creatures and bosses. And the final step after Tier 2 AI is obviously the Tier 3 AI, which is the grand creatures that I also mentioned a little bit about, like the titans, dragons, and so on. So they have a even further behavior on top of that.
Titans, you said? Like, what do you mean by titans?
So titans is, now I'm trying to not reveal things that Mats have put up for us in terms of lore, and but yeah. So titans are grand creatures that are
I can't ask
wandering the different continents.
Personal agenda.
Mats have crazy plans and lore behind that, so I'm a bit careful not trying to step into something.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. Is it just like dragons though, where like if you kill it, it's gone forever?
So yeah, so the titans is even more specific. So the titans and the dragons, they're close to each other because they are almost in the same size and challenge-wise, but the titans are more specific to the world. But yeah, dragons is very close to a titan, and obviously an elder dragon won't be, it won't be a common creature. You don't just step up to it and it stand there. When a dragon gets awakened in Nave, the world or the continent gonna know about it, and they're gonna see some very specific behaviors. And it's not just a script. It's not just a scripted behavior like you see it's flying, but if you're actually close to it and you annoy it, you could actually just burn the whole region that you're standing in, and that's it. So you need to kind of be careful in not suiciding by running at it like a crazy man thinking you can one-on-one solo it or something like that. So
that sounds huge.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge.
I can imagine.
Someone in my chat is asking if you are going to have artifact weapons like MO1, so like the Sword of Tears.
Sword of Tears.
And then also like with the relics and stuff, like are you guys gonna do that again? And maybe like what are you gonna do differently? Maybe you learned anything like that didn't work or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, the relics in the first game, it was a popular feature, and we got a lot of good response on that. It was promoting those that wanted to try to go for the relics, and obviously if you went for the relics, that created an instant hotspot. There were always a few gangs that showed up when a relic dropped from the sky. So it was quite a cool feature where everyone saw like a meteoroid flying from the sky with a cool effect. You heard the sound, and obviously everyone that wanted some action and investigate, they ran over to that location. So, and very often that resulted in a clash between guilds that was, hating each other. So, and then people could pick this up, the relic, and try to bring that to their base and put that in a very specific building, which gave them power in different terms. So every relic had different type of power or magical attributes that could be of interest in different ways. And that also showed the whole world when someone had one of these relics. So you were always like a target for those that were hunting relics. So that could be starting a war, a small siege, just to fight over those relics. And yeah, we got a lot of tons of great feedback and data based on that. So there's a few things we want to refine and change in terms of how players could, if a player can ninja steal a relic and log out, or put something in the bank, like we had this ancient sword that people were fighting about. If they just put it in the bank and that's it, end of story, that didn't really give much more after that. So we have some mechanics that we know that makes sense, that puts it back in the game world, and that is the functions behind those features, that they're supposed to be in the game world, not banked or offline. So yeah, there are some changes and refinement, and also in terms of what type of powers and attributes these relics gives is also something we are going over. So they're interesting enough for fight for and so on.
Is that a feature we can expect to see soon, or is that something kind of future plans?
Yeah. So in terms of this, so we have a quite natural order. So right now we're working, as you know, with the housing patch and the castles, and when we have that in place, we continue on the sieging and defensive system that obviously are heavily used with the castles and housing and cities. And then when that is done, the thing is, it's not just going to be, okay, it's one patch is done, but we have a base set. So we're starting with a base set of housing and such, furniture and so on. And then the same thing goes for the siege mechanics. We're starting with a base, like we have a few weapons, a few defense and offensive weapon. And then we proceed to the relic wars, like the third step. And then we continue on, also revisit them, and hopefully we can also expand the team so we don't have to pause one area when building another one. So we plan to add more defensive and offensive weapons, and we plan to add more different styles on housing and such, so the players can build something more unique over time as well. So it's in those 3 steps that you will see. So yeah, it won't be in the initial time. We're starting with those 2 steps first.
When you say offensive and defensive weapons, are you talking about siege weapons, or are you just talking about basic weapons?
Yeah, I'm talking about siege weapons. So
siege weapons.
Yeah. So for instance, we have the catapults, a traditional, very strong weapon to destroy buildings, walls, and so on. We have the scorpion ballista, that is very heavy, like a stationary heavy crossbow, but much larger. Also very effective against, especially effective against, obviously it mauls straight through players, but it also wreck siege weapons. We have fire arrows and things like that also effective against wood and siege weapons. And we also are planning to add more wall defense weapons, because that was also one of the struggle in the first game. We added these machines, and there was a great advantage to be the attacker, and you didn't have a lot of proper tools to defend in a meaningful, exciting way. So that is why we take that data and experience again in consideration now when we add a proper siege package for both sides that makes sense and makes it fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The
depth, man.
You talked a little bit about that. What was the I had a question about that on one. It was during your housing thing, and it was a concern for players when they were constructing houses, because the houses looked awesome. And you said that basically it was going to be pretty expensive to use these siege equipment, right? So to help prevent large forces from just rolling over people when they really didn't have any business doing it. So glad to see, things in place to help kind of the smaller groups, be able to keep and hold housing. So yeah. I'm assuming the ammunition for these siege weapons will be a decent cost.
Yeah. Again, we saw this a lot in the first game, gave us really valuable feedback, and it was very easy for us to see, okay, these are, very active guilds. They're investing tons of time building kingdoms and so on. And then these wars have been going on they could be, running for months and even years, which was awesome. But what we always saw was that as soon as one side won, that was when the other side was totally annihilated, to the ground. Yeah. And that meant, holy shit, all that hard work, for defending and building and investing, all gone.
And it really, it discourages people in those situations. A lot of, you lose player base over stuff like that. So
exactly.
It's important to make sure the losers also are, having a decent time losing. It's, Odd
Yeah, at the end of the
concept, but
day,
good.
yeah, at the end of the day, it is a video game, and people do deserve to have fun in that game that they're playing. I get the
Yeah.
whole winner loser aspect, but it's good that there's gonna be checks and balances and mechanics that will make it
Yeah,
where
exactly.
if you lose the war, you're not gonna get just butt fucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, I mean, important thing there is that exactly that. If it was understandable that all that hard work for so long time,
I'll ask
everything
about the
gone.
hotfix. Just
That
give me a
deal
minute because
took
I
a
have a
long break
question
from the
that's
game,
related
and
to
that
this.
doesn't do
So I wanna ask
anyone
this
good because
before I get
even
to
the
hotfix,
enemy
so it's
side
not
that loves
going
to
back and
fight
forth.
and siege and whatever, they get that many less
burnt
to
out.
fight with, right? So
Yeah.
it benefits those players as well that may think, no, it should be fully destruction, and sure, you can have full destruction, but it should
Right.
be a balance in terms of it's really worth it to go the whole way. Sure, it could be for some, but I think that there's a better balance this time around where, if you want to go that far, you can, but it shouldn't be that happened quite a lot. Oh, all of a sudden I lost my house. I didn't have any enemies, but someone thought it was funny. And okay, I'm stop playing now because I worked a year to build that house, put all my stuff in, and it was gone the next day I logged in because
I guess
someone
blown
just
up by bone tissue malls the next day.
yeah. So
little
we're trying
plastic
Tissue
to
malls.
No, it was a real thing. Fucking yeah, Rose started
know
laughing
it
the
is.
moment I said it because he knows that I used to blow up ID control towers with fucking bone tissue malls all the time back in the first
Yeah,
game.
we
Sorry,
use it a
Rose.
lot as well.
One of my chat just said a year to build a house. Did you say a year to build a house? Was that just said?
no, not really that. More like, okay, so if a solo player or a small group player that are more casual invested in building the house and put in a lot of stuff, furniture, and design it, and then boom, all gone. And
Yep.
I thought
stock
it was a
goods.
bug, and we had to check the logs. No, you've been sieged. Why? I mean,
Right.
so yeah.
Actually-
so I think that is something that we learned that
Mhm.
it should make more sense. We do want to add incentive and exciting things for those that do want to have a war and siege, and we want to try to change that to make it more meaningful and exciting without just focusing on wrecking everything, and that doesn't cost anything. And then we push out players this time around again. So that is
Right.
what we try to refine this time.
Speaking of bone tissue malls, Henrik, I do have a question. Are you guys going to allow weapons to damage buildings, or is that going to get disabled? Like, for example, if you have because back in the first game, it doesn't matter, even if you didn't have a maul, like a bone tissue maul or a blunt weapon, you could have, just smacked something with your weapon, and yeah, it wouldn't have done a lot of damage, but it would eventually, destroy the building. Is it? And I know there are certain games that do have a design where, like, for example, Conan Exiles, like, if you have like a weapon, you can't like smash through walls with that weapon. You need like the proper equipment to blow through buildings and walls. Are you guys gonna have a similar mechanic to prevent? Because Stefan Miner mentioned just now, imagine 800 people with bone tissue malls. I mean, he was saying it as a joke, but at the end of the day, that's something that could happen if that mechanic isn't in place. Do you guys have anything in the works for that?
Yeah, so in the first game, just like you said, we made it in tiers that, so if you manage to get into a heavy blunt damage, that was the way to make some damage on housing assets. And yeah, in most cases, obviously you have to stand there and hit for 1 million times to bash down a house. So it wasn't really practical. But if things are growing in scale and all of a sudden you actually have an army with, like you said, a few hundred people, then all of a sudden you start grinding these houses down with hammers instead of using a robust siege weapon. So that is something we're looking into. That do we need to take the step that it's even more hard tier in terms of it doesn't pass any damage through to a degree, and that degree means that you do need to have a siege weapon. We where we try to follow again logic. Like if you stand there with a heavy stone wall and hitting another stone wall, of course you can cause some damage. We're talking about real life. It is doable, but like I said, we need to make sure that isn't a viable tactic. That is the new way. Instead of going into the expensive route in investing in proper siege machines, you just stand an army with a stone hammer and siege. So we need to make sure that it shouldn't be effective enough. Maybe when it's close to falling down, okay, and a huge group maybe helping a little bit, but yeah, it's a balance thing.
Right, but for me, it's not so much like using blunt weapons to blow things up, but using blunt weapons made of cheap material because, as we all know, bone tissue is the easiest material to get in the game. You can kill anything, butcher it, it drops bone tissue. So like that's pretty much what I'm referring to. Like if, for example, I wouldn't mind if you can blow through like a control tower or a wall if you had a bunch of dudes with mauls, but I think the mauls should be made out of some like a good material like messing or steel like that. They're in like that. They have to spend resources to break through that wall instead of just doing something cheesy like killing a horse or killing zombies and just farming up a bunch of bone tissue just to make these mauls and then just blow through a wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, and that is a perfect example where we put that tier level that you need to be above a certain quality to do some damage to a quality wall, right? So yeah, that is make perfect sense that, and that is part of the balance of how do you damage someone's assets, because we know it's very sensitive, so we need to make sure that you can't just do it like you said, something that is cheap, endless, and you just stand there, almost putting up a macro to take down a house.
Exactly, yeah. And then the big thing here, especially, I know because Nazori's new to Mortal, but there was a type of wall known as Tier 3 metal walls, and they were very notorious for being very tanky, very durable. And that's another thing I do want to bring up with like specifically with like metal walls. Like, in my opinion, I do think you need siege to break through Tier 3 metal walls. Like I think that's like the one thing that I really do think cannot be hammered down is Tier 3 metal walls, because that's kind of it's Tier 3 metal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we are taking a big step in terms of we had this discussion. So in the first game, again, we saw the game over time, changed into walls online almost pretty much. We saw walls everywhere. Everything was walled off. Every small city or house had a wall around it. And then we have all these control towers that people were struggling with, trying to hide and put in crazy positions. And, it was a never-ending battle for everyone, both the players and us developers. So we decided that we can't go through that again. It's not a good solution. It won't work. It won't be beneficial for the game and the players. So we decided to severely limit the walls, and right now we only have the walls available around these keep slots. So that is like the bigger tier to have some additional layer of defense.
Right. That's really good.
Yeah. For the sieging, because I know you guys are trying to get wagons in the game. Would you guys make it so like siege equipment can only be moved by like wagons and like slow moving items? Because it's kind of weird if a player carries it and it's like inventory, or even on a horse. Like it should require like a lot of work and like.
For sure. I mean, in the first game we had these. You constructed. You had your blueprint pretty much. You put that down so it became like the construction state, and then you had to put the resources into and stand and build it for some time, depending on your skills and how many were helping. So we tried to follow that logic that you don't just have a catapult in your bag and it appears magically when you click it. So yeah, and this time we're gonna try to take that even further. That how to construct siege weapons should be like a proper siege event, like siege tents.
So putting up a thing, is that going to be like an arbitrary timer? I could see a nice system there. You set up something and it has a timer, and so the defenders would be given time to see that and be ready at timer. Is that what we're looking at?
So yeah. So what we noticed, there was a constant battle between everyone in terms of ninja sieging. That became a nasty thing, and that is the exact thing. So many players suggest look at these games that have these siege windows and so on, and we fully understand the point and pros with those systems, but again, we never thought it was Mortal. So we've been thinking a lot about that. How can we make that more to fit the Mortal style, as in there's no timer, everyone waits and then bam. But I think that we come up with a solution where it kind of simulates a timer, but in a more natural way, and it's not black and white in terms of on-off and damage, but it's a change on the effectiveness level. So it kind of gives you the option: do you want to do it stupid or effectively? And that is kind of simulating a timer, if that makes any sense. So we have a few things that alert enemies. So we're looking to add some specific, I'm saying it quite roughly now, some specific structure types surrounding some of these or all these keep slots. And that is like a reinforcement production things that they use and benefit from. And when they're under full control, operational and being used, you're like optimal. Then it's harder to siege and destroy you. And so the attacker have the choice. Do they, want to brute force through that, or they want to weaken those lines before going to the heart? And then also, constructing those sieging tents is also an alert for the players. Players can build alert towers and so on that they can use to also signal that, we're being attacked, or we are scouted siege construction nearby our areas, or they're attacking our reinforcement bases, which means we're most likely under siege right now. It's time to, get ready and start preparing the defense. So that gives more time to, both sides to see what's going on and the progression towards destroying assets.
Any news on moats?
Sorry?
Do you have any news on moats?
Moats?
Yeah.
Moats.
Moats, like a water, I guess. Water
Alligator?
around a castle. You stick alligators in there or whatever.
Yeah, I see. So, no, not at this point. We have looked at it a little bit to see, So there is one system that we've been going back and forth with, but we decided that we can't make it in this time frame, and that is actually allowing players to alter the terrain, and that gives that option. So the only options we have right now is either we make proper presets. I mean, you have seen some of, or I don't know if you've seen all of them yet, but since this last patch, we added all the runes, the locations, so you can start seeing, okay, these are different locations and what it offers if you want to build there or not. So at this point, we need to kind of create those presets. And right now, what you see right now is pretty much what you're going to get. But yeah, in the future, we may have the options to actually give more of that. But right now, we don't really have the time to cover such system.
So I know you guys are really against like siege windows in general, just because a lot of the population doesn't want it. Like, what are you guys maybe considering instead of like siege windows, like external alerts that you're under siege, maybe to like a website or like an app on the phone, so people don't have to consistently be online to know that they're getting sieged?
That is a trick one as well, and there's very heavy, opponents on either side here. And again, we see why people want it and why people not wanting it. But what we're trying to do here is that, a little bit like I mentioned, I think that the system I tried to explain roughly just a moment ago, that kind of simulates a siege timer. So, but it does require some kind of, alertion that you or someone in that city can see these alert messages. And then we have seen that players are very creative, passing those alert messages onto websites, and then all of a sudden they have built those functions. That happened in the first game, and players are creative and very good at different things. So, and we don't, we can't control all that. But what we are trying to add is, like I said, it is almost working like a siege timing, that that if those control-based reinforcement things are being destroyed and you don't own them anymore, pretty much, that means you're weaker towards a target. And you have these different alert towers, some NPCs that can give you as a guild information as well if you are using them correctly. That also gives you the information. So there needs to be some kind of tie for you as a player, and if someone is online, you can bring in the friends or the team if you need to.
My favorite systems a lot of times were like EVE Online siege windows. I think were really good. I can understand you want the more organic approach, but I think as long as you keep offline sieging at the forefront of things, I think that's going to be making sure that things aren't just offline siege, and that's not the meta. I think that'll just As long as
I
you're
agree with
constantly keeping an
Nazori.
eye, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, offline sieging should definitely not be a thing at all in the game. It's not healthy at all. I mean, I get the whole freedom and like play your way, but yeah, they're like offline sieging. That's just not fun. One, it's
I think
boring
it's
to
okay
do.
to-
I've been doing it myself,
Mhm.
but I mean, I get what you mean. Like, there should be some kind of option for it, but it should not. It shouldn't really be the most viable way to siege. I think there should be a lot of deterrents for it, because it's not fun content. You know what I mean? Sieges are meant to not just like destroy assets, but also to promote content, to create content, like create PvP. It's a PvP opportunity, right? So if you're offline sieging, then like, you're not really doing anything, you're just hitting a wall.
Personally, if there's a timer that can be set by the attackers, I think that's even sufficient enough. Like, you set up a day before whatever time you feel, and I don't know if this is how it's going to work. And like I said, as long as you have offline sieging in mind, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, like something where an attacker can go, I want to attack at this given time, and then the defenders have to go, oh, what's their names are attacking tomorrow at this time. Hopefully we can put up enough of a fight at that time. Or you're setting up siege equipment outside of someone's thing, and it's like that's going to be ready in 10 hours or whatever. We got to be ready for that. I don't know exactly. I mean, from your description, it sounds like you got the right idea. But yeah, I think offline sieging in a lot of games can totally ruin the experience for so many people. So yeah, making sure to keep an eye on that's going to be huge.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have looked quite a lot on it, and we fully see the pros and cons, and yeah, we see the issues with offline attack in the different time zones, and depending how large a group you have playing actively as well, and if they're all on the same time zone, and then obviously that's going to be a struggle when the majority is offline. But yeah, we're playing around with a few mechanics that we want to try out and see if that can kind of help with this situation.
Is there a place that players can see the exact mechanics of this to kind of give feedback on it, even though it's not implemented yet?
Well, right now, not really. So, but what we are planning to do is we're gonna set up a different type of testing scenario, and we want to test these things as well on a larger scale, which means we may look at a public sign up for this, so a lot more players can jump in and play around and get a feel for it to see how that works on a larger scale rather than our smaller that starts in-house and then externalized a little larger. But yeah, we do need to cover these as good as we possibly can because it has a great impact on guilds and assets and cities. But yeah, there's a few tools that I think that could give us options that kind of gives room of when you are to attack someone, and the players both sides can prepare for that timer in terms of, for instance, we also looked at when you can hire some guards and defense, as long as you supply them in a window, they may be helping in defending, and that means that could be on your offline timing. So when you're offline, you invest resources to kind of protect your castle, or whatever it is, during that time with that money. And you can't cover 24/7 because it won't work balance-wise. But if you say that this is our offline time, or we're sleeping then, and there's some kind of protection that helps from a complete easy ninja siege, and then when that timer goes off when you are online in your prime time, so you have to choose what hours those are, and that also means that the enemies knows that these are the window when they can attack you, and that's when you are online as well. So that is what we're looking at, and hopefully that is something that we can work. And that actually puts up exactly what we're talking about here. We know that this is when we're online. Now they may be attacking us.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not bad. That sounds pretty well thought out.
Yeah, definitely. I want to move on a little bit from sieging. It's still kind of like on a similar topic. As most of us have noticed, we do have on our paper dolls, we do have a nation alignment system. Now, Henrik, I know you kind of touched up a little bit on it, but I have a couple questions as to how that's going to work specifically. So with the faction system, is it kind of... are you familiar with Dark Age of Camelot?
Yeah, I played it a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, so it's like pretty much like there's 3 factions, right? And they fight each other, and they have like keeps and assets that belong to each other. You can like capture them and shit. So, are you gonna have like a similar system where it's like, but I know it's not 3 factions. You have like multiple nations, right? You have Tindrum, you have Sarduka, you have the Hergar Nation, you have the Kurite allied tribes and whatnot. Is there gonna be like a similar system? Because I know there is gonna be a lot of PvP and a lot of content relating to guild v guild, but is that gonna intertwine with like a nation v nation type like PvP stuff?
Yeah. So this is something that I've gone through quite a bit now with Mats, because we do want to tie the lore standing, the factions or the nations, wherever we call them, into this faction war. We tried some experiments in the old game in terms of implementing faction wars, and we got some data based on that, what worked and what didn't work. So we've gone through that quite a bit as well, especially with Matsu, trying to see how can we make a proper nation option for the players that kind of hits that area. So what we're looking at here is that what we've been talking so far that we think is interesting and fitting. So you could actually, so we have the Tinremic Empire, for instance, and currently they have some conflicts with the Korite Empire. And that means that as a player, you can start building your standings with them up, depending on what kind of action you do in the game for these 2 sides. And if these 2 sides are in a conflict, that means that you as a guild can also sign up your alliance to one of these sides. So if you kind of set your guild to be an ally with the Tinremic Empire, that means you're instantly an opponent for the Korites. And if players have done the same for the Korites, that means that you're pretty much it's like an alliance war against each others. So that is how we want to try to incorporate the factions, the different nations that have different conflicts that you can work for, and you can go up in rank, access different things, and you can align your what's it called, legions towards one of those to take part of those conflicts and wars as well.
Right. Another thing too, with the nation v nation mechanics, will each nation have like assets like outposts, little keeps, stuff like that that you can capture and kind of like have some sort of like scale of like who's winning the war, things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are actually a few things that we haven't really gone public with, but we have some quite interesting plans that we have been working hard to have this on Persistent Day. But again, it's all a matter of a prioritized order and if things are working as intended.
Right.
But yeah, we do want to kick this starting with. So we have prepared the lore, the transition from the first game to the second game. We actually also prepared a ending event in the first game, and that kind of kicks off one of these things, and that shows one of these nation conflicts that the players can participate in. And yes, that means that you may see things in the world that is heavily Tinremic influenced or Korite influenced, and depending on your action towards that, you're straight into that conflict and can participate and go up and down in standings. So yeah, that is in the plan.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Cause me personally, like, I like to play solo, but I also like to PvP a lot as well. And I'm not the type of player that likes to kill people just because I feel like killing people. Like I just I want that like a mechanic where it's like, oh, that's a Kurite. This is a Kurite player. I'm Tindremic. I'm gonna kill him because he's a Kurite. Like little mechanics like that. Because I'm currently in a guild, but I would rather not be in a guild and still be able to get larger scale PvP content. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's good that the mechanics that you're going to be introducing, from what it sounds, from what from the way that you're describing it, sounds like my playstyle will be even more viable to have.
Yeah.
Once those mechanics are there.
It's like Matt said, it's like an additional layer on top of your normal guild or group or nation standing. So you add another layer in terms of, do you want to participate in conflicts. But that also means that you may become a target, obviously. But that is your choice to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. Like this some really awesome stuff so far. I want to take a little break from Q&As just to keep things fresh. I have a couple questions for the other creators. I'm pretty sure some of us have questions for each other too. I do want to ask something. I want to ask Henrik something real quick. Little like a personal question, pretty much. So, Henrik, do you have like any what's because we know you as like Henrik, CEO of Starval, and you're designing Mortal Online 2 and whatnot. But do you have any like talents that or like skills that you might that you have that like no one knows, like can you like whistle through your nose or anything crazy like that?
I wasn't expecting that one.
Whistle through.
I'm not sure actually. I wasn't expecting that question. Tough one. I almost have to ask some of my friends what they would say.
You don't
I'm
play
not
any
sure at this
instruments or
point.
anything, Henrik? You don't got any hobbies?
If sports and hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a little bit more or younger, I was playing hockey when I was younger, and I like sports. I play in all kind of different sports. I have what do you call it? Putzin, Rolufe in English.
What is that?
Yeah, what's it called?
Yeah, I'll never see
the
another
word I'm
podcast
looking for.
again. Braindance.
Yeah, I mean, what I mean is I have a proper sense for handling different sports. It's not like
it would be what do you call that in English?
Was that
almost like
fumbling balls?
Yeah, you have a decent talent for being
athletic. That's
maybe that. So I'm not completely, I'm not a fumbling rock that can't do anything. I have a decent sense for different types of sports. So yeah, I played quite a bit, some soccer or was it football and hockey. I just recently started playing a little bit of what is called paddle. Is it called paddle?
I don't know.
You mean ping pong?
No, it's not tennis, but it's the new super popular sport
when
that
you
is
play against a wall.
fairly new.
Racquetball.
Is it called racquetball in English?
Where you're hitting the ball up against the wall and it's really fast paced?
No, not that one. It is almost exactly like tennis. You play 2 versus 2, but it's easier to start playing, so you can have fun straight away. It's a super popular sport. The biggest sport, it came from pretty much Spain, I think. Super popular, is growing very quickly worldwide right now, and more and more people are starting playing it. It's super fun, and anyone can pick it up and start playing. So yeah, I got hooked in that just recently, but I just brought shoulder damage. Something got fucked up in my shoulders. Right now, I'm doing rehab.
People are saying badminton. Yeah. Badminton?
No,
not badminton.
Tennis,
no,
yeah.
like it's not cricket, right?
No.
Cricket's really like very different.
Yeah.
Squash. Squash is
what
racquetball, isn't
squash?
it? I think
Pickleball?
squash is racquetball.
No, not squash. What the hell?
Shino saying pickleball? I don't know what that
is.
is.
Mystery to me.
I wonder if it have if it's not.
It might not be.
The name isn't just paddle. Yeah, I think it is.
It's called paddle.
Paddle tennis. It's not to be confused with paddle tennis. Paddle is a racket sport.
Paddle tennis.
I think it's called paddle.
That's a Swedish word or not.
I see it. I just googled. It's called paddle tennis.
Yeah. I think it's paddle tennis.
Yeah.
But it's like you can use the walls. You can use the walls. It's like net and plexiglass. So you can actually you're allowed to bounce it on the walls, and then you have to shoot it over again. So it's a very forgiving sport. It's so much easier than tennis because if you're new to tennis, you would just get one ball and then it's game over, right? But this sport is actually super fun because you can get a few balls and it's super fun. So I have quite a group of friends that are playing it nonstop. So I'm a little behind. I'm trying to catch up and play with them as well when I do have any free time, which I don't have too much lately.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I completely
but
understand that.
I try to move and train because I'm sitting so much and and I'm falling
I feel
apart
that.
because of that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the struggle right now. Any office job,
Yeah.
it's rough. It's
They're
rough.
taking a break.
Oh
From
yeah,
the
it's gonna
Q&A.
definitely be hard to stay in
Um,
shape. But
when they
damn,
go
Henrik,
back
it's
to
good
it,
to
I'll
know
try and get in a
you're
resource
stout
placement
IRL.
So what about the rest in the room?
Yeah.
What about you, Dalarius?
Me. Okay, so weird fun fact about me. Actually, in high school I was part of the the armed drill team. You know, you could like spinning rifles and shit, like ceremonial drill,
Hmm.
but it's like exhibition. So I know Sweden has like they have a drill team there too. They have like I think their army has like a drill team, and they're actually pretty good. I met one of them because there is a competition in Florida. It's in Daytona Beach. They have it every year. It's called the National High School Drill Team Championships, and the best drill teams go there to compete. But they also invite professional teams like service drill teams, like the Marine Corps drill team has performed there, then the U.S. Navy drill team, Air Force. But they've also had foreign drill teams as well. Like for example, there's one. Um, there's actually and there's like also like independent teams. Like there's this one team. It's called Kingsguard, and they're in Hawaii, and they're actually really good. They do some crazy shit with the rifles. They'll spin them and like with bayonets and everything. Like they're pretty intense. But I did that when I was in high school. I did that for 4 years, and I still do it every once in a while, more as just a hobby, just for fun. But it's pretty fun stuff, and that's probably like the only athletic thing I've ever done because I was growing up. I was a bit of a spaz. I was really uncoordinated, but doing that is really good for your hand-eye coordination, and I was able to like build that through drill, so it was pretty good.
That's
But
interesting. I mean, it's so interesting how depending on where you are in the world, you do so many different things in sports. So it's interesting to hear that.
yeah, definitely. But I did get into sports like later on in high school. Like I follow mostly football and basketball because of where I'm from. I'm in Texas, and Texas we have a lot of like really good NBA teams,
Mm.
NBA teams. And so it's really fun to like watch too. It's like a fun sport to watch. I mean, it's probably not as intense as paddleball, but you know. But yeah, I like to follow all kinds of sports. I watch rugby too.
Mm.
I don't know what's going on, but it looks intense.
Mm.
Yeah. What about you, Nazari? What do you got?
It's like actual zero exercise forever for some reason. I wish I could get outside, but yeah, it's horrible. Putzin's putting his hand up. Yeah. I did sports when I was younger, but yeah, nothing lately. Honestly, I wish I could. I should get like a treadmill desk or something because I'm just so on my ass every day. But yeah, no, I think if I were to say anything, I guess my community knows a lot about me, but I'd say my biggest side thing is probably development. I do like I went to school for game development, so I like to do little side projects. That's currently my full time is software engineer. um but yeah, right now I'm working on something for Albion, a kind of a plugin of sorts to
Oh
create
yeah.
like an alternate game mode. So stuff like that I really enjoy.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So maybe you're gonna make some add-ons for Mortal Online.
Yeah, add-ons. No, I wouldn't even know where to start with that.
Actually, is the game? That's a good question though. Little quick Q&A. Would the game be add-on compatible? Will you be able to add add-ons to the game, like UI add-ons or anything like that?
Uh, I'm not sure how that would work really. I mean, we are very careful in terms
What was
of
that?
you know it should be a fair game for everyone, and we want to
What the
make the
fuck was
best
that?
possible UI and control for the
Pete?
players without having to go too much of a struggle and learn. You need almost like it was in Ultima Line in the end of the years. You have to get all these different tools to be competitive.
Yeah.
So we
That's
try
something
to.
you gotta set up too way beforehand is to make it compatible for people to even use.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. No worries. Um, Putzin, you've been and Rolufe, y'all been pretty quiet. Y'all a little sussy
Yeah.
bakas. What y'all got? I see you're an artist. I saw you draw some pretty looking feet. Let's see that. Show it to
Oh,
the class, Rolufe. Would you care to share with the class?
my
Oh,
skills.
Damn, dude.
yeah.
Sheesh. Hey,
I actually got
Henrik.
the
You should
painting
hire him
from
as a
school.
yeah, Henrik. You should hire him as an art designer for Mortal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Putzin? What do you got? Oh shit! Damn,
Actual art. That looks impressive.
actual
Not bad.
art. Damn. Jeez. Rolo's a
It's
man of
from
culture.
college.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Rolo, the Renaissance man, the
Yeah,
starving
it's the old
artist.
name.
There you go. Damn, that's cool. Yeah, we got some. We all have some interesting talents and shit. Who made Dalarius' picture? Oh, that's a commission that I got. That's like my character, like in every game, pretty much. He's like this like relentless Crusader dude. He likes to kill elves. He's mostly based off of Pelennor Whitestrick from Elder Scrolls, who is like this like force of nature. He just likes ripping and tearing. You know what I mean? So that's what I like to do: rip and tear until it's done. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was a really good commission. I have another one too. I got a couple I could show you guys later. But it's
Yeah.
Putin's turn. Little Susie Baka. Say what's up, Rolufe?
Did you commission it on Fiverr?
No, it was through a friend of mine from the roleplay community in ESO.
I
He
see.
did commissions, and I asked him, and I'm like, hey man, yeah, I have another commission that I actually got through a professional artist. He's Polish, and $100, and he did like a quick stencil, and he drew it, and it looks pretty good. I'll show you guys here in a bit. But first things first, Putzin, you ain't sneaking away from this little sussy baka. What you got?
Hey, I'm just waiting for my turn. Really, I don't really have any talents per se. I mean, I really enjoy table tennis, which got me excited when Henrik was talking about his little paddleboard thing. Because I thought he was talking about table tennis, but apparently not. But that game actually sounds really fun. What he was talking about, and like hitting off walls and being more forgiving like tennis. Because I actually really like ping pong a lot. So that might be something that I'm really. I'm actually pretty good
Yeah.
at ping pong. Like
Mhm.
everyone that I've played, like. Maybe I lost at first, but then like I would definitely win like 4 out of 5 times or whatever. You know how it depends on how many matches. But I really like it. It's a lot of fun. I'm trying to get one for my house. Whenever we move here and get a bigger
Yeah.
spot. But, yeah.
Right on, man. Yeah, that's lit, dude. Speaking of balls, sports games with balls. Henrik, I got this game that I want to pitch. I'm gonna pitch to you for Mortal Online 2. You know how like Halo, they had like a really, they had like Griff Ball, and it was like a gag, and then like they
Brain, calm
eventually
down a little
added
bit,
like the game
okay?
mode in, like an
Two
actual game mode
notches.
in. I think you guys should have a game mode called Blaine Ball, where it's like you have like 2 teams of 5 with shields, and the ball is just a big like fat like Blaine dude. It has to be a Blaine, so little blue Smurf dude. And you just it's like soccer. You just like shield bash him to the goal. To the goal post, and yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I got a question for you, Henrik.
Gravity?
So you recently, I don't know if you did this back in MO1 or anything, but you recently just started Twitch streaming to promote MO2, right? How has that been? I can't imagine going live for like your first times and just having like 200 to 500 in the chat. Like, how has that been?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey actually. I wasn't at all expecting or thinking of doing that on a regular basis. Just happened since the stress test, because I was reaching out, doing some live updates and so on, and it just cashed on, and people seem to enjoy it and have that opportunity once a week now.
Housing is
to
not planned for
join in
launch,
and
no.
have a discussion,
It's
ask some
supposed to come
questions and so
sometime
on.
after.
So, and yeah, it's growing. So yeah, it's been awesome. It's a very good way for us to have a direct communication and update, and also see that every now and then new players show up, and it's a good opportunity for us to lead them into the game. So and yeah, the community is growing, and I think it's awesome. So many new players, and they are really seem to be very excited about the launch of the game. Everything from casual players to some streamers and so on. So yeah, I think it's been awesome. I've had to learn how to do these things, and obviously you can see I don't have as professional scene as you guys still. So
you don't like it?
I still
Go to
have
another
to
stream.
work a little bit on stepping up my game until
It's not looking bad, honestly. I think you do a pretty good job. Just keeping up with chat and honestly just being consistent and in communicating with the community. Like, that's huge. I think a lot of people respect that, to be honest.
Yeah, thanks.
And it's not always easy sitting there taking questions from 500 people that, some of the questions you might not want to answer, stuff like that. So it's really good.
Yeah.
I think everyone appreciates it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Question on topic. Well, I got you. Twitch drops, streamer content program. Where are we at? I'm always in his DMs. I'm asking him. So.
Yeah.
Question.
Twitch drops would be a cool thing, yeah. But
I mean,
it's gonna be weird because of how the game works, though.
Yeah, well, the thing is, so I had this team that I pretty much hired to code that part for us because we have zero time to do anything except working on the game. And we started a project, and it was heavily delayed, and there's been some miscommunication. So right now it's like working at 90%, but since it's not working exactly how we want it to work, and wrote the design that this is how it should work, and it looks like they can't really deliver that part. So I think that we need to reach out to someone that knows how to code drops. So if someone knows, feel free to send me a message.
I mean, I don't know if this is in the same realm, but I code Twitch bots. I don't know if that. So I've worked with the Twitch API. I don't know if I can offer any sort of assistance with that. I have no idea. But yeah, I've worked with the API for the Twitch chat. I don't know if that ties well into their API for drops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's very basic what we want to do. I mean, we all seen the drops, how that works. We want to do the same thing pretty much, but we want to drop the beta keys pretty much. So we have a website, and they have done some work for that, but the last step in terms of setting those rules aren't really working.
So are you talking about rules coding wise? Or are you just talking about rules of like what you think is optimal to get people watching long enough kind of thing? What do you mean by rules?
Yeah, so I mean, that part in the Twitch section is quite straightforward. That we can set up the rules. 30 minutes, you watch the stream, you link your accounts, and then you get the drop. That part works, but when you get the drop, you don't get the key. I added a key on these drops. You're not getting that message, and you're also getting the message that you don't own these games, so therefore you're not getting any drops. So it's weird. Like there's a miss information from that developer that's supposed to do that.
I would almost say it's on the website side of things. I have knowing absolutely nothing about what's currently going on there. If you're doing things right on the Twitch side, it's got to be whatever's providing the key, and I'm assuming it's some sort of web service call. But yeah, sounds interesting. Hopefully that gets worked out.
Yeah, right. I mean, it looks like we're not getting any further, which is quite sad because I wanted this up and running weeks ago. Just like you said, Putzin, I said that was going on, but they've never finished it, and I don't think they can. We took a shot that these are some guys that may be able to do this, but it looks like they can't. And like I said, we've been so busy with actual game development that we can't really spend time on figuring things out. We just wanted to kind of buy that service from someone that knows how to do it. So I think we just need to. Hopefully, we can find someone that can do it.
So we talked about it a little bit before that, basically kind of needed to happen before launch because otherwise you're giving away $40 keys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how would you do it after launch? Do you have any idea how Twitch drops?
Yeah. Another question on that too, Henrik. If it did work, what kind of drops would we even receive?
We wanted to start this as soon as possible because what we obviously can offer right now, which is a good thing to let people try the game for free, and that is actually to give them the beta access. So anyone that just watch the stream can get a beta access, jump in the game, and play. That was very suitable for us to do now while we are in beta. But yeah, we're getting closer and closer to persistence. So for it to make sense, we need to make it happen now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think I feel like I was going to say Twitch drops can be something huge for free advertisement for a lot of games. I think the best games that have done it in the past are games like Escape from Tarkov and things like that. I think if looking at doing drops in the future, games like that have just a really good model for basically pushing your current population to essentially bumping the Twitch directory up. I think that's why most of them do it, right? They get their population onto Twitch. And I think the most enticing ones are usually infrequent, every few months, and you give some sort of unique, cosmetic, along with maybe some small, in-game drops, like random materials or resources. I think those models have been the most successful for other games in the past. Beta keys are always really huge too. Like Valorant, I believe, had a massive,
3 especially.
Yeah, it had a massive explosion on Twitch just because they offered beta keys. Theirs was also random, which while it sounds, it is worse for the consumer. I think it really drives up the amount of people that will sit on Twitch for a full day to get that stuff. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways to do it. Hopefully you guys find someone to fix the problems that are going on for the beta.
Yeah. I mean, we simply need to get someone that knows how to code that part or have some knowledge about it. It shouldn't be hard. It's quite straightforward because, every game today is almost, supporting some type of drop. But obviously we don't have skins to drop randomly.
For beta, it wouldn't make much sense anyways. The current thing you have going right now is what you should do, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, if you I don't know if I can offer any assistance, but yeah, I'm more than happy to help out if there's something I can do to help out. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, we can take a look.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a question for my chat. This isn't just him asking because also low-key a little bit just me a little bit, but the thing is I'm a little biased because I'm a vet of the first game, so I'm used to it. But so this question also just it comes from one of my friends from ESO, and I know a lot of people in that community who want to find another MMO to play that's like immersive as well. Mortal's really immersive and it has a really good combat system. I really enjoy the combat system in Mortal Online. However, one thing that I've noticed that is very off-putting for most, if not all of them, is that it's a first-person locked game. Is there ever going to be any kind of consideration towards having a third-person point of view for the game?
I mean, that is quite a common question, and understandable. A lot of those games are played in third person, and there's a huge benefit in terms of playing in third person if that's what you can do. You wouldn't be playing in first person if you can play it in third person.
Yeah, I think that's a massive advantage that it would become what would you a disadvantage to play in first person. I don't think adding that. I think if anything, adding maybe, I don't remember if there even was, but some sort of screenshot tools where it really restricts your character from moving. If anything, that'd be the only thing I could see being like a viable thing to add. Because third person is just a massive advantage that you wouldn't want to introduce, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me give you a counter to that point. There's another game. It's called Scum. It has first person, but also has third person. They have a mechanic where if you're in third person, you can't like see who's behind the wall. It makes the player on your side of the wall invisible. So even if you're in third person, you still can't see them. They have like mechanics like that to counter that because using third person can be pretty cheesy at times, especially when it comes to shit like that. So they have that mechanic introduced, and it makes the game really good, and it forces you to play in first and in third person because there are times where you're in cramped corners, so it's better to be in first person, and then there are times where you're in the open, and you can still play in first person, but you also have the option to play in third.
I don't know. I was a bit skeptical with first person when I first looked at Mortal. I'm not against it at all, but I was like, "Ooh, I don't know how that's going to look or feel." But man, once you're in there, it feels great. Like the immersion. I would say I've told my Twitch chat a bunch of times, like, because everyone always looks at it and they're like, "Man, that looks clunky," and it doesn't feel clunky. And once you're in it, it feels very immersive. It's actually impressive. I don't know of any other MMO that does it quite the same.
Exactly. I mean, that is the thing as well. When I play different MMOs that offer that you can go into first person, it's very clear that the game is not made for first person. I mean, it feels like, you're just floating and there's a disconnect to your actions and so on. So we took the decision that we want to make an immersive first person dedicated MMO. And that is, not that common. And so there's so many components that ties to this that makes it interesting, exciting, and we can also add more function that we plan to add a few features since day one in the first game that we now reach to that also ties more to first person effects and so on that can be very awesome, which we can't do in third person at all. So I don't think for us that third person would fit for many of the reasons how we build the game. And also, you're supposed to do all the commands and actions in first person. And just like you said, the thing is that we see the point that, a lot of new players ask, can you go out in third person? Because you're so used to it when you're playing MMORPGs. But as soon as they kind of get to the point that everyone plays in first person and what the benefits are from that, and as soon as you get used to it, it feels like a new game. It's almost like you're playing, not the traditional MMORPG, I would say, and hopefully in a good way. And for most people, it have been a good way and good experience, and it grows on you. So for those ASU people, I would say that try it out, because you may be missing out of something just by overseeing that you can't toggle it to third person, even though we understand why some people or many people want to do that. But I also think that as long as you don't have a major issue in playing in first person due to whatever reason that could be, I think that the majority could start enjoying it, get into it as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And hey, my buddy Annie here. Yeah, man. So I just want to talk to him real quick. Yeah. So Annie, it's a good game, man. You could make content for it as well, because I know you're also a content creator. So yeah, it is something that grows on you. And like Nazori plays Albion, and it's a isometric game. Is that what it's called, right? Isometric.
Yeah. When you have a
Yeah.
when you have a top down camera, yeah, isometric. Well,
Yeah, and yeah,
kind
and you
of
were able to, yeah, and you enjoyed the
angled.
game though, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And-
Yeah.
Bird view.
I think it doesn't matter what a game does for control schemes. It's more.
Yeah.
I think more players, even when they voice concerned about things like that, they're more concerned about the actual meat of it, the content, the mechanics that keep the game going and keep it exciting, gameplay loops that are fun to do. I had a question. What was it? You mentioned it earlier, Henrik, in passing, and I wanted to ask you. I actually had people in my chat asking to ask you this. You mentioned macroing when we were talking about buildings, that you could maybe macro down a wall, or you wanted to prevent that, right? Do you have anything in place to prevent people from using macros to, say, level skills and stuff like that? I know is a big concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, we have more tools now that we can implement. So if we just decided, okay, this is allowed and this is not allowed, make it very clear. And yes, we have tools to much more effectively monitoring that and make sure that no one is breaking the rules. We haven't really had the time to sit down to say, okay, because we do get the questions, what kind of these different hotkeys, softwares, which ones are allowed or not allowed. And and that also goes into the balance side, that if you are to gain skills in combat by doing something that are just a bad grind or so, and forces you to do those macros or so, then maybe we need to look into how to gain skills in swordsmanship, for instance, if that's not a good or a fun, innovative way. So we're looking into that as well to see if we can kind of change the gain rate so it makes more sense and are fluid and fun without having to feel or think about that I really need one of those macro programs, because we don't want to support it, and we don't really want to go there where people, I need to have this software and this and that and do all kind of crazy things. We want to be able to offer the whole gaming experience with Immortal Online, and hopefully that will be good enough, and that's for the end user.
Yeah, I think just sorry, I was going to say, I think just things built into the game to prevent that is even better than just preventing macros, right? Like running in place, right? If you're in a certain location for too long, stop giving XP, or basically just rewarding proper gameplay and preventing people from just whacking their buddy over and over or something in a macro. Because I know when we were playing, and I don't know if this has changed, but to level our skills, we just had someone block and everyone would just punch that person for 20 minutes. So preventing sitting in one spot and hitting a dummy of sorts, as long as checks are in place for that, I think problem would be solved. I'm sure there's probably plenty of edge cases, but if that's on the radar, that's good.
Yeah.
One little complaint that I have, well, it's not like a complaint, but like it's a gripe. I guess I guess it is like a complaint, but it's not too crazy. But I did want to mention it, and because my chat's still talking about that whole third person, first person crap. But this involves like the first person stuff, because I do like that the game is first person. I'm pretty biased because I'm a vet of the game and I understand how it works, and I've played for a while now. But one thing I did want to ask is are there any plans to, like, maybe in the future revamp the animations for attacks and stuff for players? Because the reason why I say this is sometimes like when I fight, it feels like I'm just swinging a bat. Like when you swing you charge up your sword and you swing it. It feels like I'm just swinging like a bat because you're not like doesn't look like you're like you're prepping a slash and you're doing like the proper like movement for it. You know what I mean? Like if you've ever seen like sword fights and stuff, they fight a certain way and like
Mm.
they have certain like motions that they do with their arms and their shoulders and like. But at times it does feel like I'm just swinging a bat. That's the
Yeah,
one.
the thing is, just like you said, in real life, you do a full body motion to perform a proper swing that feels and look, realistic, and that is based on real physics. It's not that
Yeah.
you think what you do; you just swing, and your body have to react or counter your weight and so on to perform a powerful swing. And obviously, that high dynamic range of movement isn't just something you put into a game. You try to make sure it looks believable and interesting and nice, and also of course the feeling of flow and weight and hit and impact. That is the key components we have to play around with. And also, so the big challenge here is that we have a upper body and an underbody, and if you are to be allowed to control your movement at any time without being restricted or something. For instance, you play those console games where you hit an attack button, you take a step forward and you do a swing, and you can't move while you do that. You're in a locked position, right? So that is a big component that we're not using that type of technique when fighting because we want the players to be in full control. If you want a quick step forward, back, left, right, it should be quickly responsive, and that's up to you as a player. So we add this, player skills there. Every action and performance is in your control. But that also makes the challenge of how can you at the same time move isolated on your underbody while you're performing a powerful swing. In real life, that is not separated, right? So that is the big challenge for the animators to make that look good and feel good.
Right.
But I agree, there's room for improvement. Some of the weapon groups animation isn't really polished enough or feel powerful and may feel a little bit strange.
Yeah, it's more so the right to left swing. All the other stuff like the overhead feels good, the stabs feel good, the left to right feels good, but it's more so the right to left. I don't know. I mean, I know. I know it's like there's not a whole lot that you can do. You can't like reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? But it just the right to left. I don't know, for some reason it bugs me. You know what I mean? That's specifically.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, yeah, we had limited time in terms of, okay, we need to cover all these areas and we need to be on a proper level, right?
Yeah.
And yes, we have spent a lot of time in combat, and we always have been spending so much time in combat and balancing because it is a big core of the game. Everyone, uses combat in different ways. But again, we have so many areas, and this is the thing that many people forget about. The majority that does these type of games, there are like minimum 200 people, and we are about 30 people. So obviously we need to somehow prioritize and be very effective in all these different areas. I can list up 20 different areas that require almost the whole team. So it's quite amazing what we have achieved. But yeah, I fully agree and see the point that there's room for improvement in many of these areas. And that is something we plan to revisit and go back and reinforce. But again, it's if we can grow our team, that is something that can happen faster as well.
Yeah, honestly, I just want to try. I don't know.
Let me squeeze in a question
Putzin,
real quick.
there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
And this goes back to your last question, Nazori. So with the leveling, the attributes is kind of weird. And are you guys planning to change? Because it's very random right now. Because like, let's say I'm leveling strength, like I'll hit the training dummy or whatever like 30 times, and I'll get one level, and then I'll hit it 2 more times, and I gain another level. Is there any change to that coming up that maybe it's more consistent with the leveling? Because it seems very random, and I don't know, it bothers me. I have OCD. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, right now it becomes random because of some big reasons. Right now we have an increased rate on 100 times on everything, which means a lot of crazy things happens because there's also a tick in the game where it makes an update in terms of skill gains and so on, because it's a huge optimization. That's simply how it works. And naturally, when the game is running live, you don't have 100x times gain rate. So that tick is waiting it's waiting on the server tick, and then bam, you get all these increasement, and that tick can vary depending on what action you have done. That is why you experience it as very random, but it's not. So when we slow it down to a normal rate, you're gonna see the progression much more natural. Slow progression, and slower and slower the higher you reach. So yeah, it will change quite a lot when we take it down to a normal rate.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, the game feels really good. Yeah, the game definitely does feel really good. But yeah, that's the big one, is the skill progression once the modifiers on closed beta get removed.
Quick question. We're at about an hour and 40 or hour and 50 now. Did we have a planned end time for the podcast?
We're probably gonna end it here. I would say like 15, 20 minutes, give or take. Just
Okay.
depends. Just depends on how the conversation goes, because if there's any more questions or anything like that. You guys have anything else?
I had a really big one that I wanted to know about, because this was something that when I first started playing, I saw a lot of issues, and I believe MO1 had a lot of trouble reaching a kind of a broader audience. Henrik, do you have any plans, or what are some changes that you're making to MO2 to help ease newer players, or even more not so hardcore players, into MO2?
Yeah. So we saw that very clearly as well in the previous stress test. A lot of random people, the casual players that didn't have a clue about the game, that showed up and started to struggle with how do you fight, how do you do anything. There's no information at all, and obviously starting out with no information at all, that is a big step for many new players and casual players. And then also, how do you figure out the depth of how do I fight, and how do I produce something, how do I get content, armor, weapons, and so on. So yeah, that became a very steep uphill battle very quickly. We noticed that for sure. And it gave us also a lot more feedback on how precisely and where those issues were. We got a lot of that from the first game, in terms of, we knew that we had to do, okay, first of all, the game needs to be as polished and smooth as possible. And then the game needs to give the player a proper feedback indication, what's going on. So they're not clueless when they try something. That was severely, a big issue in the first game as well. And then also we noticed that, it's very clear that we need a proper tutorial system, because this first question that everyone asks, what should I do? Where do I go? That puts off a lot of those players that doesn't know what you can do in Mortal Online. And obviously we don't want to have new players jumping in and lose them because they don't know what to do, because no one responded good enough. That would be very bad game design for us to take in new players. So we have invested quite a lot of time in building a very robust tutorial system for this very reason, to introduce new players to the game, learn them the basics in a fun, fluid, innovative way. And that should hopefully, plant that seed that, okay, wow, I just scratched the surface, but that was fun and interesting. And I understand that, it was a perfect example. I said it before, Asmongold, one of the, the big streamer from World of Warcraft, jumped straight into the graveyard, just spammed the attack button, with lousy damage, and he got ass kicked by the walkers. So, and he felt it was clunky and so on. And that is fully understandable, and that is also a reaction for many new players, especially when you watch it, right? Just like you said, Nazori, when you watch it, it felt like clunky and slow. That was a very common feedback. So we changed that as well. We made it more fluid, so the charge and release is more fluid and faster and responsive than it was back in last stress test. And we also made sure that we gave them a better starting sword that isn't slow and annoying. And we added this tutorial system, so any player that comes from World of Warcraft can't fail. So they will get these tasks that they're used in when they're starting a game like World of Warcraft. But we try to make our mortal twist on it and try to introduce them. So they actually now get more educated in how do I fight properly in a very easy way. So Asmongold, he can't fail when he's gonna fight his first walker, because of the information he will get, and he will beat them, and it will be more fluid, and hopefully he will and as so many other new players feel that, okay, now it starts to make sense. I get the point how I'm more effective parrying counter. There's depth in it. In World of Warcraft, you just hit the attack button, right? You have the proper aim, and the action performs, and it's all about the levels. But that's the big difference here. They expect that maybe it's something similar because it's MMORPG, right? But no, you perform every action, and where and how you perform it have a great impact. So
Yeah.
So that whole, new player experience is completely built now, and it was patched this week. So and that is also the big thing for this upcoming stress test. So now we're gonna monitor to see how will all these new players do this time around. We were actually surprised how many of these new players struggled through that and actually were playing actively during those weeks in our last stress test. But yeah, of course, we can't lose anyone just based off. I don't know what to do. That would be a disaster tomorrow.
It was a big disappointment because from day 1 to day 4, I want to say, was like a completely different experience, and it was a big shame that a lot of those big audiences and big streamers jumped in on day 1, day 2, and the game was nearly unplayable, and it was almost just like, just come back like 1 week later. It's actually so much better now, you know. And so hopefully this time around we get a much better,
smoother,
smoother look and feel. Because honestly, a week into that stress test was just immensely better. I do, I guess, another part to that question, because I'm really glad to hear that the tutorial is looking good. Do you have any plans to help more casual players feel a bit safer in the world, at a very limited basis, right? Like I'm a very hardcore game. I don't know. I love hardcore games, right? But I feel like Mortal was almost too intense for me with the lack of ability to be able to feel safe in almost any capacity at any given time. And I think housing helps with that. But do you have any intent or plan to make some of the newer players feel like when they get into the world of Knave that they have like okay, I'm safe right now, let me collect my thoughts and feelings and plan to leave this town or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of action going on in every single town, and it was nasty, right? So
yeah,
I mean, people would expect that I'm in the town, I see guards, why am I being killed left and right and pushed around and bullied? And yeah, that shocked a lot of new players. So, and our intention and that we have communicated is that, okay, so when you start in these starting cities, we want to offer security so you can relax a little bit and collect your mind, like you said, and then it's up to you to start adventure and being prepared for the danger when you actually leave guard areas. So we have cranked up the security and worked quite a lot on the AI and security system for every city, because we do want the cities to be safe. There are still dangers. I mean, there's thievery is coming, so you always have to, keep your eye.
Oh, that's going to be a wrench. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
everyone's gonna meet Grey Fox.
Yeah, so I mean, but yeah, it is important, like you said. We need to have some kind of base security, or it would just be a mess. And we all want a healthy, growing player base because the more victims and different types of play styles and all the different sides, the better and more fun the game is. But obviously, we need some kind of first step. Okay, I'm in a city. Here's good security, and that is also the lore behind the lictors. The lictors is only almost godly like, extremely strong protectors of the empires, and they're supposed to be really badass and handle any criminal activities. So that is our highest security, and we want to make sure that in those cities and near banks and such, in the heart of where there's important, where you trade and stuff, there will be lictors, and they will make sure that you're safe, somewhat safe.
That's going to be huge. I think that's massive because I know that turned off a lot of people from playing because it felt like chaos. And I think if the cities are safer, that's actually really big for the people you want to ease into the intense nature of Mortals. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of lictors, little quick question here. That teleporting skill that lictors have, is that gonna be a player spell that we'll be able to use eventually?
Yes, that is the blink spell. It's not visually, it's not fully as it will be, but yeah, the lictor taps into some moves and schools that the players will be able to learn later on. So that is actually a blink and a attack his strongest attack, melee attack on top of that. So that is why they will be able to reach you very quickly, very effective, and do massive damage and keep the heart of those important areas very safe. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, Blink as a player spell, that's gonna be pretty fun. But I feel like there's gonna be some kind of drawback, right? Like, is it gonna be a castable? It's gonna be really expensive, like mana wise, or
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the Lictor have learned how to perfectly perform a strong melee attack just after he have blinked onto you. So he does that perfectly. And obviously, you as a player, you still, if you blink, you just transport there, right? It's still up to you to how to perform a strike or anything like that. So it's not that you are auto attacking on a blink. You have to do everything manually, but the Lictor does it perfectly, if that makes any sense.
oh, so we can practice blinking into an attack.
Yeah, pretty
And if we're
much.
good at it, we can land it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but it's still your manual. It's the same melee strike. You perform your strike, and if you can coordinate that well when you're using some of these upcoming spells, you can be an effective mage using those spells pretty much.
While we're on the casting kind of mage debacle here, I have a question from someone in my chat who asked a few times. He has a concern. It's more of a concern / question. He says, don't forget about my question, Putzin, about the 60% interrupt on mages and a naked being able to kill him with a sword. Because he just can't get his cast off. So...
Yeah. We got that question a few times. And yes, there's what is it? Close to a 50-50, 40% chance to resist the interruption when you're precasting a spell. And yes, that may be severe right now and puts the mage in a tough position, not being able to pull off those spells. And there's a thing. We could tweak that right now and then retweak it back to where it is when we actually implement those other schools that is tying to this balance. Because just like I said, we have Blink, we have other very defensive spells coming for the mage if you learn those schools. So if you combine these schools and skills, all of a sudden that become very strong. So there will be shields and defensive that helps promoting that interruption further. So you see, if that is like 100%, then it's game over. So
would it make sense to have different weapons have different rates at which they can interrupt? So say the starting sword that you start with has a 10% chance and like say a hammer would have an 80% chance. Do you think that's something that could be looked at? Or is that maybe not a good idea? I don't know.
I mean, we see quite a lot of almost abuse with the starting weapon, because you don't drop it, so you can run around naked and you don't drop anything when you die. And obviously that is not a good thing if you can have a weapon that can cause quite some damage and it's blessed pretty much. So we are looking into that to make sure that shouldn't be a viable tactic endlessly.
Actually, that was one of my biggest complaints. Actually, looking back at the first stress test, was just the ability for them to troll as a naked. Yeah, that was huge. So hopefully we get that balance at some point.
Yeah. I mean, all those things would be minimal. That is what we're working on now, balance as well. The only thing was that, okay, if a new player lost everything and he's naked and he doesn't have a weapon, okay, then he can start from step 1, and that, I guess, that will be picking up flowers and picking up anything and then start selling that to start, get back on track again. That is viable. Because it may be difficult to kill something just with your fists.
Yeah, wouldn't it? Just suggestion, but you could have the starting weapons be effective against mobs, but not against players, like an 80% reduction to damage against players, so that these players could spawn in with nothing, but have the tools to go get and kill boars or whatever. Right, the weapon's effective against mobs, but a special caveat on those weapons to say, hey, it doesn't really do any damage to players, so probably don't even give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, that is a special case. Sebastian hates that, but I mean, it is a good suggestion.
Someone called that Sebastian hates exceptions. Bullshit.
So that could be an option. We try to minimize those very special cases, and you never know how far we continue going into when we start with one special case, then 2, and then 3, and then so many different scenarios. So we try to keep the code and rules in the world logic and very clear. But yes,
yeah, I can see that.
sometime it makes sense that, okay, in this case, we get so much value of it and it's only in this special case, then sure, we could go for that. So it is something we're going to look into. But we know that we want to limit those starting weapons more. And, worst case scenario, like I said, you have to pick up flowers or be a beggar on the street to get going again. That is a viable option. So, yeah.
That's the right direction. I like that.
Yeah.
You could make an OnlyFans and Knave and only knaves or something on the streets.
Yeah.
Easy.
I remember you
money.
did talk about stances. Will that be coming in?
Yeah, we were talking about that very long time ago, right? Like, you mean that you can choose different stances and poses when you
combat
fighting.
stances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we actually have that is something that are fully doable, and we do want to venture in there eventually. And that is like you can choose different styles, how you fight with different weapon groups. But that is a nightmare for an animator team right now, because that means we need to add another layer of variation on all these different combat types. I mean, if you calculate it, all these different weapon groups, and then combine it with shields, it's quite a lot of animations that we need to go through. So, and then you add another layer of stance on top of that. It's multiplied with 2 all of a sudden. So it's all comes down again to we need the manpower in the animation team. But it is something we wanna venture into in the future.
What about the special attacks for each weapon group?
Mm-hmm.
Are those coming in soon?
I'm not sure when we will implement those. I have a very clear design list of what a few of these special moves for every different combat group. But again, it comes down to it's so much animation work, and right now all the animations people are occupied with filling the role with wildlife. And we are trying to expand the animation team to cover more things at the same time. So with that said, we have a very important prioritized order that this is the core, the minimum that we need to fulfill for persistent. And we have a huge list of creatures that is very important because we want wildlife, right? One common thing during the stress test was that you can walk for hours and see nothing. And obviously we want to make sure that there's something lurking around many of the corners, and you can discover a lot of different creatures from low threats to high threats. So we're prioritizing that right now heavily. So all players, including the beta players, will see, okay, wow, there's a lot of wildlife going on now. That's going to be exciting to explore. And then hopefully, again, we'll be able to expand and start enable those special attacks, because we want them as well quite early on.
Right. Special attacks, that's if I'm not mistaken, that was a thing for domination in the first game. Is domination in the works? Is that going to come out anytime soon, or?
Domination, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that is. So we have veterinary, domination, pet trading. Those are quite vital that we have on the table right now. I really want them to get in as soon as possible so we can test them around and make sure they are working as well for persistent, because it's important components. Domination, we have the support and functions for it, so it's not that we're building a completely new system. It is pretty much taming, but with specific rules. You dominate these specific creature that you can't tame, you can't trade them, and so on. So it's not much we need to do to enable domination.
Okay, gotcha.
Someone's asking for your list for things you want to have ready for persistence. Like, what percentage would you say that you guys are complete for that list that you want done?
We are very close to have that list done for persistent. I mean, a very big focus right now is, like everyone knows, that is super important. Polish, making sure it's stable and runs smooth. That is number one, so people doesn't lose things because of stupid bugs and so on. That is very important. So we're focusing quite heavily on polishing and bug fixing right now, and you can see that have been being cranked up more and more in the latest patch. We have a very long bug fix and polish in every patch. So obviously that is number one, prioritized at all time. And then we have these, we have a list of it's quite small things, but have quite big impact. Like I said, being able to trade your pets we don't want people to be forced to be a tamer, because obviously that interferes with your character build. So if you want to be a tamer, you can become a tamer. If you just want to buy horses from a tamer, then obviously you don't spend points into becoming a tamer. So we need pet trading, I mean, and we need veterinary. That is also something that is almost done. It's more that you will be able to heal your animals using bandages, just like you bandage yourself. And there's a few more things like that we need to put in our upcoming patches. And then, yeah, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I thought you were done.
Yeah, okay. No, but I mean, there's this whole thing where we are obviously we're gonna pull down the normal skill gain rate and all that in one of our upcoming patches as well, to run through that to make sure everything is set and running properly. The Clade XP progression is gonna be started as well. Right now you get 100 XP from pretty much everything, right? Obviously we're gonna have a more linear curve on that, and you're also splitting the XP within your group when you're fighting bigger mobs and so on, so you can fight bosses and get a good deal XP divided in the team as well. So there's a lot of those things, a lot of resources distribution in the world that is also very important for balance wise. So we have a lot of cool bonus things that we are keeping for persistence. Like I said, exciting list of creatures going into the world. We have the grand symbolic armor that's going to be put in persistent as well. We're not putting that in the beta. We don't want to spoil it too much. So there's a few of those things as well coming in for persistence. So it should be exciting for everyone that have been playing during the beta as well.
Oh yeah,
I'm
definitely.
extremely excited for this next coming. Oh, I'm excited for persistence more than anything, but I think the whole game is coming along extremely well. I'm getting a ton of questions in my chat. I don't know if we want to go over all of them or anything. I don't
Well, I feel
know.
like there's a couple of things that have probably been covered already, though. To be honest.
Of course.
Yeah.
Henrik, how's your time looking? I don't want to take everyone's time, and Rolufe and Putzin. I want to make sure that we're keeping. We've hit 2 hours. How's everyone feeling right now?
All
Good to go.
I feel fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can run some more. I have some food in a bit, but no rush right now, so we can, for me at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, for me personally, as long as the vibe's good, the conversation's going, and obviously people have the time and are so willing to keep the conversation going, we can definitely do it. Because I know there's a lot of questions for Henrik. I really didn't want to blow Henrik up with a million questions.
I got a question
yeah.
for the streamers if we want to take a break for Henrik.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask everybody like if there's a single feature or mechanic that you guys are extremely excited for, and like whatever one's to.
Oh, can I start? I just started jumping in.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
I would say for me, housing, huge. I am way looking forward to housing and the ability to set up potential not role playing. Like I've actually never really done much role playing in games, but the ability to put and VoIP. I'm getting chat reminded that VoIP, that just the entire immersion of the VoIP in the housing, I think is going to be incredible for interactive gameplay. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. And yeah, honestly, this having VoIP and the different tools in this game to be able to role play amongst players, just extremely well. I think that's my most excited feature.
Man, there was I don't know his name, but there was an Ogmir player in Fabridom for the longest time. He legit sounds exactly like what you think an Ogmir would sound like. He sounds like a dwarf, and he's he was such a good role player. I don't know his name.
Awesome.
It was Mathematic, right? I think it's Mathematic you're talking about.
Yes,
it
maybe.
Was really stepping into the role, talking like a true Ogmir or Blaine. So yeah,
Chat
saying they know him as well. Yeah, I guess I missed him.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's awesome. Actually,
VoIP. Yeah, VoIP in the game is really underrated in this game. It's the game here has really good VoIP.
Yeah,
I just never liked VoIP because it's one of those things people use it in PvP just to screech and just irritate people.
I don't know
It's
if I ran into that
content.
at all. As long as there's an ability to mute others, and I remember they added that midway through the last stress test.
Yeah.
That stuff can be contained, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, if someone step out of bounds, the thing is, during the beta, we have to focus on prioritize, right? So, and of course, we will have rules in terms of how you use these mechanics, and everything is recorded and logged. So if someone really misbehaves, they will lose that function in the game pretty much forever. So they will have a warning if they're stepping out of bound, but if they really, step out of bound totally or repeat doing so, they will just lose the privilege to use VoIP in game.
Yeah, I remember seeing people on Discord and just like in my chat saying like, I got permanently banned. I was playing music. Can you get me unbanned? Like, sounds like it was deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Big,
It's
especially
good.
in Mortal. Especially in Mortal. That's why I
mean,
like it.
For my answer, like Nazori, like I'm really looking forward to the building and seeing what kind of like customization, like how different will cities look. Like if I wanted to build a player city and someone else wanted to build a player city, are they going to have like the same layout, or are we going to be able to really customize like how the station, like crafting stalls or whatever, you know what I mean, fit together? And it's going to be really cool to see how like what people come up with, especially since it's probably going to be around keeps, I imagine, for the most part, and the different like terrain that comes with different keeps. Because I don't know if you guys have been looking at the keeps and like I have, but all the keep spots are very different, like terrain wise. Some are on mountains, some are in the open. There's like one on Sausage Lake that's like on its own little plateau surrounded by water completely. Like it's really crazy. So I'm like really looking forward to see like what people will be able to do when they want to build a big city, whether it's public or not, So that's something I'm really looking forward to for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome just seeing how many, because every guild and large portion of the game is probably going to pick like a spot, an area they hold, and that's what's going to really build the world. And if we have the ability to even just put houses wherever we want, which I mean, obviously some restrictions, but that's going to create a really dynamic world, I feel like. And from what I was seeing in the stream of showing off the housing, what they have so far, it's looking pretty promising, honestly. I already know I have plans for my guild on what I want to do. I don't know, probably refine it, but I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, and that is the base pack, and yeah, there will already be from that base pack options to choose your type of style on that structure, and then you have the upgrades, and then we're going to implement so many different structures and tools for the players. So I mean, it's important that you plan your city well, and of course you need to find a proper locations. So what I think is going to be awesome, especially for me personally, is to just watching the whole guild claiming conflicts and who claims what castle in the world. And obviously right now we have the 16 castle slots, and people are excited, giving super good feedback about these locations so far. So it's going to be so interesting. I mean, we do have a lot of guilds. It's going to be so interesting to see who gets what and what are the players going to do. That's going to be awesome.
It's already started, Henrik. It's already started. Everyone's claiming their shit already.
So do you wanna reveal your what castles are you most interested in?
I'm going for the one directly below Kranesh. That's my spot. I'm going for
below Kranesh. Okay.
That's actually my intent behind this whole podcast, is to secretly spy on all of you guys and your guilds. Find out what you guys are actually gonna plan on doing in the game. Smile. No, I'm just fucking around, guys. No, 16 keep slots. So that's more than the first game in Merlin, right?
I think it's the same.
Really?
We used that. Yeah, we used that as it was a good, good number, and it worked well. I mean, obviously now we have more space in between them, which I think is good, because some was quite close to each other in the first game. The scale was off, but now we are happy with the scale, and there's some more distance between them.
There is some keeps that are really close to each
out of
other.
the old ID keep, because that was hard. It was like a mountain range all around it almost.
Yeah,
you could stand up there and shoot with catapults down on top of the keep.
It was a weak tactical defensive. So we obviously we used that feedback and looked at, okay, these poor guys having this location or having problems. So we took the time. We spent quite a lot of effort in making a very nice location for every keep slot. So, but there is a lot of good variation and options. So for those that want something open, easily accessible, and expand widely, but it has its it draws back in terms of it also have this opening for enemies. So and then we have these very narrow, protected, isolated locations with also less land around. So yeah, it's interesting to see what players are going for on their personal.
I have a kind of maybe a question that may have already been answered, not in this podcast, but in general. And I'm sorry to ask because I just don't know. So I've done some extensive scouting since the Castle Ruins patch, mostly in the north, where I live. And so kind of asking like how the mechanics will work for controlling a town. Will it only be keeps or strongholds? And this is two-part question because I found that there's no keeps anywhere near Hispelia, for example, the town all the way in the north, the new town. But how would one control it if there's like, can you use a stronghold or?
So what we're trying to promote more here as well is that we want the players to not just focus on the starting cities, but actually being able to build something unique and your own. So you could actually, over time build your own Hilspeya that could be even more grand and majestic. But it also, of course, depends on what kind of rules are you setting in your kingdom. Will it be an open city for anyone to trade, and you benefit a lot from those trades by setting a nice tax that the citizens will accept and so on? Or will it be a more closed, private guild location only, and that's it? So, but we try to give all the options this time around. So there shouldn't be a, it shouldn't be that, okay, I can't build my own city, or I can't use the city in the same way as that NPC city because lack of these and these options and support. This time we do want to give that fully spectrum of you can build your own kingdom this time. Potentially even as great as Tinram if you really invest heavily into it. So we want players to try to see that view and be more dynamic in control of that rather than just focusing on the pre-existing cities, which I think is a good starting location for new players. But then you can also pretty much sign up your city as a starting location for new players. So you can actually recruit players on Haven and they can see, wow, this is this cool city, the city of Putzin.
That's
and,
a
and
really
they can
cool
actually
feature.
and they can actually pick that because it's welcome, it has some security, and they say, oh, this seems to be an awesome city, I want to live here. And they may not know that you are the ruler of that city and build it. They may think that's like Fabernum, but the more they play and gain knowledge of the game, they'll say, shit, this is a player-driven city, I didn't know that. That is something we want to reach for.
Is there a potential? I'm just thinking as a toxic player here. I'm not toxic, but it's just mindset here. Is it possible for someone to do that and just have a kill box for new players?
Oh my God, Nazori! Jesus Christ, dude!
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not toxic, but like, can we spot count new players?
I would hope there's something to prevent that.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, exactly.
Christ,
we explored a little bit into that in the first game. We did enable those functions support, and we also saw why people didn't really offer it in a large scale. So yeah, we learn a lot from that, and obviously we need to. There's a system that interact with what kind of seat are running, what kind of rules, and how is it doing, and that can also be linked into the options for new players, so they can get some information about that city. But again, we're still early in this progress. But obviously, if we can't really allow a kill box, like you said, that just pick this city, you don't have a clue. I mean, a kill box. So obviously, there needs to be some demands and appliances that need to be met for you to actually be able to offer that to players.
Yeah. I'm sure you would figure that out before you implement that.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, it's an important thing. I mean, that is always something over the years with Mortal Line. Over 10 years, players are creative. Players go from being super nice to super crazy, and yeah, all these kind of things happen. So we'll learn a lot and know that we need to consider as wide as possible because players come up with crazy things, for good and bad.
Definitely. Yeah, the Mortal Online community is definitely a very creative one. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
Speaking of creative, I did I just want to take a little bit of a question just to show you guys something here. So I did ask in the Mortal Online Discord for players to submit memes and stuff, Mortal memes, and I got a couple. I want to show you guys, see what y'all think. Get your little 2 cents on them. Let me just pull them up here. I got Valine sent me 2 here. So let me pull them up. Yeah, let me pull it up. Here we go. So it's gonna be this here. I'm gonna link it in the podcast channel.
Mhm.
Let me just find it. Oh, that's your Discord. Man, how did I not know where my own freaking Discord's at? I'm so bad at this. Here we go. All right. So
Wait,
this
what
is
are we
the
doing?
first
I missed
one.
something. I'm sorry.
So the podcast text chat. We're looking at memes that were submitted by the community. So there's one.
Where did you
Pull
post
up
it? You say?
It's in the podcast text chat.
Uh,
Oh,
okay. There. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Parry this, you filthy casual. T-Lash.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this next one's actually a lot better though. Mom said it's my turn on the Greater Natterus.
Yeah.
Little big white elf boy with an axe. What happens if you tell him no? I wonder. You know?
Yeah. Some good ones.
Some pretty good ones. I wish I got more because those were the only ones that I was able to get from the community. We need more memes, man. We need a little Mortal Online Reddit with all the memes.
Yeah.
Memes make the world go around. Definitely.
Yeah.
But speaking of Greater Natterus, wanted to ask about that. How soon would we expect to receive a patch with the Greater Natterus in it?
It is on Harris' table. We have gone through it, and we should have a location for it now ready. So it should go in one of our upcoming patches if things goes as planned.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, because the Greater Nat is like a really important one. But I mean, the blast furnace is out. That blast furnace, man, y'all did a really good job with that blast furnace. It looks really good.
Yeah, it was a good upgrade.
Looks amazing. Yeah, how was that like? The whole development process behind like the concept art, the you know forming it and then implementing into the game.
Yeah, I mean, we do have Adria, that have been part of the team for quite a long time. He started as pretty much like a concept artist back in the days in Mortal 1. Super talented concept artist, doing amazing paintings and art and all kind of stuff. He was the guy that also painted this incredible looking painting of my father, actually, that is put in Tinram. Really good talent, and he learned more about the different step in progress in terms of producing the art in game as well. So he really, been learning more and more, stepped up into the more deeper of the development, and he's actually leading quite the art team right now because he have an excellent eye for making sure that everything looks amazing. So we can thank him a lot for the amazing art we have in Mortal Online. He have done a really good job in leading the artist in creating all these things, and he's very have a good eye for details in terms of designing everything. So much work have been spent into the different gears and characters and creatures, and also, like I said, remodeling these very specific structures and statues and so on. And yeah, he's pretty much leading that, investigating everything from mass lore to the old game, and then seeing, okay, is there any mistake from the old game? That happened quite a lot. Something became something completely different or had a wrong name. We're taking the opportunity to correct all those issues this time around. We want to make sure it stays true to the lore, it stays true to how it was supposed to look. And that is also a good example, the materials that actually got the correct look for the first time ever with our material patch. So yeah, it's a good progress, and he's doing an amazing job in leading that, making sure that we have a very high level on everything we produce.
Right. Now with typos, I think I know what you're referring to. That's the magnetons, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they got the name Magnaton until Mats came back and said that what the hell, what is the Magnetons? And I said it's the Magnetons, and he corrected us. No, they're not supposed to be Magnetons. It's the Tagmatons, right? So and also some visual and style and colors. Quite a few things went wrong over the years, and we simply didn't, were able to correct them or had the time to. But we make sure we do it as accurate as we can this time around.
Oh yeah, definitely. Speaking of like lore, I noticed that Springbok, that's a Swedish thing, right? Is that like a Swedish word?
Yeah. Much like to, twist some words, and sometimes he uses some of the Swedish words and he uses a lot of Latin, and then the mortal twist on top of that. So yeah, there's some Swedish words here and there, names, and we have the tings and hövdings in the Kallard society lore. That is also some Swedish words. So
Yeah,
it,
that's
it
good.
makes it
And that's
interesting.
sprinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sprinkle. Yeah, because it's you guys are a Swedish company. So I have a question. Speaking of your company, I have a question. Star Vault. How did you come up with the name Star Vault? How did that? Where'd you get that? How'd you get that?
Yeah, it was many years ago when me and one of my colleagues from when we were actually studying game development back in the days. Uh, See if I can remember it exactly. It was so many years ago now, but I remember that it was quite an ironic thing that happened. First, I came up with a different name. It wasn't Star Vault, and we made a logo with the S and V, played around with that a little bit, and then I sent some of the forms to one of our lawyers to create some documents. We were registering the company and logos and so on, and she actually misread it and said Star Vault. And that wasn't the name at all. I got that back, and what the hell is going on? But then I thought about it. That sounds pretty cool. And then when Mats, also the lore guy, I remember when he joined in and said, "Henrik, how do you come up with this name?" I kind of like it because if you think about it, there could be some depth behind it. Like we're sitting in this vault and developing the game, and we are the stars of producing this. And he kind of liked it and said, "Wow, okay. I mean, let's stick with Starvault, even though that wasn't the first name, but it just randomly became, it stuck." So yeah, that pretty much how it went.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know, like how it's just crazy to think how all these things fell into place, and then had having your ideas, and Star Vault was created, and you decided to develop Mortal. I think it's just crazy because I know we ask a lot of questions about the game and the mechanics and what's being added in, but like I'm also really interested in the lore, the in real life lore of Star Vault,
Mhm.
and how Mortal Online came to be, like the whole concept. So it's been great talking to you about this. How you came up with the idea of the game, and how you got into game design, and
Mhm.
Henrik lore, Star Vault lore. I think that's some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it was a
yeah.
crazy journey. I never forget when we were on our first game convention, showing off Mortal Online next to these giants that spend millions of building their booth with staff and team and crazy stuff. And we got there and we bought 90% of all our props were from IKEA, the Swedish furniture company. You know about IKEA, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I know about IKEA. I think
yeah,
there's one in my city.
yeah. So it really showed that manual handcraft made from everything from making the game to even building our game booth at those conventions. And I never remember. I forget when next to us there was a huge MMORPG that was hyping their game, spent millions of marketing on that convention, and they were actually making an MMORPG on Unreal Engine 2 back then. And I was one of those persistent bastards that never gave up on getting access to Unreal Engine 3. back in those old days, because it was quite different back then who got access to that engine. And I was calling the vice president, Mark Rain, very frequently to, try to convince him into giving us access to that new technology. And I'll never forget when this CEO of this company that were next to us in that booth, they were showing their cool MMORPG in Unreal Engine 2, and we were showing off Mortal Online, the old teaser that was in Unreal Engine 3. So it looks like 100 times better. And I could see in his eyes that he was so sad that how the hell are you able to do this game that kicks our game's ass in so many levels? And where did it come from? I mean, we were nobody, but we really stood out from the crowd and, offering that start of Mortal Online. So it was quite an epic journey. There's so many stories from back in the days. A lot of things happen.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then when the game came out too, all the lore, all the all the conflicts between the guilds, and it's just a really long story, and it's good to see that that story's not over yet. In fact, we're just opening up another chapter with Mortal Online 2.
For sure. I mean, just looking at the journey of and release of Mortal 1, it was, so incredible, so many struggles and uphill battles. And, we had to struggle to survive at many times. And yeah, we learned so valuable lessons and experience over the years. And we really got to know that, okay, it is almost like everyone told me, it's going to be impossible for you to deliver and release an MMORPG if you don't have a few more hundreds, millions, and more experienced in the team. I mean, I see that point, and yeah, it was close that we didn't make it, but we were very persistent and never gave up. And yeah, Mortal 1 pretty much gave us the opportunity to make the game of the dream now with Mortal 2. I'm really seeing that now we're taking those steps as it should have been the goal with the first game, but we couldn't due to all these various issues. So yeah, it's exciting times with Mortal 2 for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Are you guys actually gonna release any more trailers anytime soon? Maybe like a remake of that first trailer?
We're working on some of trailer content, yes.
Yeah, because that was honestly that trailer got me hooked. I saw that. I think I was like 12, 13 when that came out. And I saw that trailer and I'm like, damn, this game looks sick. Like with the dragon and everything. And man, yeah, it really got me hooked. And
Yeah, it was good.
I've been
Good one.
I've been hooked to the game ever since. I'm pretty sure a lot of us here are. And Nazori is now gonna get hooked on that game too. So like it's just incredible.
Yeah, I think I
Speaking of
sung.
which, yeah, go ahead, Nazori.
Oh, I was saying I intended to stream the first stress test. I think one day. I'm really I talk a lot with Jonah, and he was streaming the game at the time, and I remember seeing him play. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play one day. I'm gonna play one day, and I was like, it's a beta, so I'm just. And then literally 500 hours later, I was like, I really want to stop playing now. The game's not out yet, so yeah, I'm very I'm really love what they've done with the game so far. So I'm really excited.
It's awesome
Yeah.
to hear. Yeah, we were very surprised actually that so many jumped the wagon at that stress test and really, enjoyed it, because our focus wasn't that. We were focused to run 2 days pure stress, just checking the server and working on the server side, and wasn't really paying attention to that this should be an enjoyable moment for players. But yeah, the players created so much cool content and conflicts and were going at it. So yeah, it was just awesome to see that it went so well in terms of actually showcasing the game and what's to come in the future for a lot of new players.
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was that there's very little content, especially in the first stress test. There was very little tangible content. The leveling was accelerated. There's not a ton of mobs around. And honestly, like a week in, I was like, there's really nothing here. I think I'm going to stop playing. And for some reason, the game is just that immersive and the player interactions are just that good that I just kept logging in, and it was always something to do. And it was just, honestly, I think the game's going to go down incredibly well. I can't believe that people are excited for some of these other games that are coming out, and no one's really like, I'm hearing so much more about other MMOs and things. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I've tried those, and they're just nowhere near the experience that I have with MO2 so far. So I think, honestly, I think the game is going to be really big.
Yeah, for sure. I fully agree. And yeah, of course, our next goal is to make sure that we reach out to more and more players so they can try it out. And that is why I think it's so important that we have the tutorial in place, so a lot of those new players can really get a fair chance to actually get into it. And yeah, that is something we're lining up for Persistent, obviously, to start marketing and make awareness of the game. And it's so helpful as well that many of you guys that are streaming very frequently and also having a growing audience that get the opportunity to see the game as well. So that's just awesome. We really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like more online 2 is, I mean, more online 1 and 2, like like I've been playing these games, and 2's still being in development, but I really wanted to follow the game, and I do want to make content for it. I've been making content. It's mostly just like compilations of my fights on YouTube, but I want to get into guides and all that good stuff, because I know the game does have a bit of a learning curve. In the tutorial, it's a lot more fleshed out now, but I think people are still going to be using tutorial stuff as a resource as well.
Mm.
Yeah. But it's good to have creators that play the game actively and understand the game, and they're able to provide direction for newer players.
Yeah.
That's something that's definitely gonna do pretty well. I know, Nazori, you're more of a mage guy, right? You do a lot of...
In Mortal, I turned out to it's different for every game, but yeah, in Mortal I really took to the Dex Mage more than anything else, just because it felt, I don't know, like there was a lack in most groups for a mage, right? Everyone, to be fair, the melee combat's extremely entertaining, and I don't know, in every game I typically pick, I seem to always gravitate towards those roles that other people aren't choosing. So I immediately sunk into the mage role because it felt like, most groups just didn't have a mage, and I like filling roles. So yeah, I think that's probably what I'll do when I play.
Mages are they're hard to come by in the game. Everyone is a fighter or a mounted or something.
And that might change with the new magic schools that are being added. I know Spiritism's in now, or part of it. I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. And then there's a bunch of other magic schools. I don't know if they'll all be in by Persistent, but what is it, Henrik? 9 or 12 or 8? I can't remember.
Yeah, we have 13 schools, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's going to take some time to reach all of them. But it also, like I mentioned before, the more schools we cover now, the more functions we have to also reuse a lot of these code functions. So yeah, it's becoming more and more efficient to produce spells in the different schools.
Even the one school that was already in is kind of just, it almost felt sufficient enough for the core gameplay loop. So I don't think missing the other schools at launch is going to be any sort of problem.
No, we think that, and like we said, that the ecumenical school is like a base school, and it's very important in many different aspects of the game. And we also have the Spiritism school that we're working on now partially in the game, and that allows players to resurrect each other's and can use the Ether gates and so on. And it also has a really cool offensive spell, the mental projectile, that is one of my favorite ones right now. So yeah, those two schools are very good to have at the core, and that is why we plan to have those for Persistent.
Oh yeah, the Kamehameha.
What was that, Rolufe?
Do you have any plans on expanding the magic, which I say, more magic later?
Oh yeah, for sure.
After all of those are done.
I mean, after the 13 schools.
Yeah.
13 easy.
Yeah, I mean that will be a lot of content for you if you're interested in magic. Reaching those 13 schools will be a lot. So, but I mean, we will see when that happens, and that in time. Like I said, we're not short on ideas and design. It's insane how much we have, but
it's implementing and balancing. Yeah.
I do want to note something for Nazori, because not so much to you guys, because you guys played the first game, you guys are vets, so you already know what I'm going to talk about here. So concerning magic, Henrik, they did release in the first game, Mortal Line 1 already has a couple magic schools, and if you actually do want to see what they're about, you should definitely check out the first game. And I did know Henrik mentioned that there's going to be like a big like end of the world event, before Persistence. Right? Is that before Persistence, Henrik?
Yeah. So we tried to do something a little bit special for ending, or do the transition from the first game to second game. Of course, we try to do this, but we know so that we're quite stressed, and there's always something to attend to and improve. And up to a last minute, that's quite common. So we will see. But we try to do, anyone are free to join in on those ending dates, and just play around and participate, and we will see what we can do.
Yeah.
We have something we have set that will transfer over to Mortal 2 when that starts. That kind of makes sense and also start something.
Oh yeah, definitely. That'll be interesting.
So I just want to bring up something. So I remember, I think it was Shadow actually. He's in my chat right now, and I remember one day he was showing off Mortal Online 1, and it was one of the coolest spells I think I've ever seen in a game is with Spiritism. I don't know if this is in MO2 yet, but chat might be interested, or anyone who doesn't know Mortal Online 1 at all. One of the coolest things I saw that you could do with magic was what was it? The portal you mentioned, Henrik. It basically opens a portal to the spirit world, and you step through. But I thought it was so actually awesome that when you step through the portal, it kills your character. Like that's what it was like. You would open a portal and you would step into the spirit world, but it would murder your character. I thought that was actually one of the funniest and most interesting things I've seen done with like a magic school in any game. Was just like that whole interaction, and not like lore, because there's not a whole lot of story to Mortal, but just the fact that you were literally killing yourself to get to the spirit world. I thought was really unique.
Yeah, it's the way for the spiritists to move from the living world to the other world, and when you do that, you leave your body. So obviously you die pretty much.
Yeah.
But with the proper skills, you can also bring a spirit box into the other world. We actually have a hot fix for tomorrow, so you will be able to do all this with
hot fix
in
tomorrow's
patch that allows you to transfer to the other world, and you will have your spirit box with you, so you can open the gate again, and everyone that is in the other world can go through this portal to the living as well. So it's quite a cool feature for the spiritists.
Oh wow! Do you know what time that patch goes live tomorrow?
I'm not sure exactly when. We have been working on it the whole day today just to do further fine tune and tweaks. A little bit disconnected with the communication since we started the podcast, but we're aiming for delivering it as soon as we can. So yeah.
And updates for that can be found on your Discord, yeah?
Yeah,
the MO2 Discord.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, Nazori. So what I wanted to mention was actually the magic schools that he was bringing up, because they're going to be 13. There's already a couple released in Mortal 1. Ecumenical, you got Spiritism, and then you got Necromancy. But the big one that I think they released like in the later part of the game's life is Elementalism. Which they you guys introduced like a weather system, right? And like spells that can only be used during specific conditions, right?
Right. So you can pretty much learn to control the weather, which is quite cool. So you can actually create a snowstorm, in Chinram, and everyone is running around. What the hell? Why is this snowstorm happening? Or you can make a sunny, bright day. So it's pretty cool that you can learn to master the weather. And depending on the weather and environments close to the elementist, he can access different types of spells as well. So there's been this fight between the elementalist mages that are trying to control the weather for their benefits when sieging and so on. So it's pretty cool. It's almost like Gandalf and what is it, Saruman, when they're shouting in the on that snowy hill. So that was the battle between those mages. Pretty cool.
That's awesome, actually.
One day we'll have Nazori on his little Dex Mage, Naruto running, create conjuring storms on keeps.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys ever intend to have like mechanics for combination of elements? Say for example, like you make it rain in an area, right? Now this person's wet, and now you cast a Thunderlash at them. Would that ever like increase the damage? You know what I mean?
Spurt into T-Lash, smile.
Yeah, we did discuss that. Okay, it kind of makes sense if you're wearing full plate and you got a lightning strike, a spell or something like that. It makes you more weak towards such damage. We were looking into that to see, but we were also afraid that it could quickly go very spiral into a very complex, out of control balance. So we choose to stick to have it, more in control, pretty much.
What do you mean? The meta's right there. Yeah. Just make it rain with elementalism, and then also with elementalism, you get chain lightning. Just kill everybody. It's fine.
Easy.
Yeah.
So sure. I'm getting the question, and I don't know what this is. Will there be demon spawn in MO2?
Ooh. Yeah. So the demons in Mortal 1 was one of those things that got a little sidetracked and wasn't really following true to the lore on how they were supposed to look and function. And they're also connected to something called the Grey Halls. That is another dimension that have demon-like things. So that is, we try to take the first step towards that. And there's some things we want to correct with that this time around. So we will have the demon back, and we will have access to the Grey Halls again, but in a right way this time around. When we get close to that, we're gonna implement some lore of that, and then the rest is up to the players to discover the rest and how that works and what it could mean for the players.
Oh, right on. Speaking of big monsters and and lore, because this Mortal Line 2 takes place, what is it, 100 years or 200 years after Mortal 1?
Around 100 or something.
100 or something?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened to the Greater Kimuru between the first game and the second game? Is it going to be around the second one?
Yeah, the Greater Kimura have a place still in the world. Yeah, you will see. There will be some changes to it, and of course we're refining it as well. And we want to again utilize the tier 2 AI on him, so he become more impressive when you get to experience.
Well, the Thorax and like Kimuru and the Demon, are these considered like tier 2 or tier 3?
The Kimura is they are the tier 2 as well. They have specific behaviors similar to the Troll and Spider Queen, and there will be more over time as well.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because the main reason why I asked this is because these bosses drop certain items that you need to get other items. I don't want to like spoil it a little, too much for because I know a lot of Nazori's viewers are also either they haven't played the game or they're really new to it. But there's some special items that they do have. The big one for me is with Ogmium. How will that work introducing Ogmium? Is that something that's going to get introduced after Persistence or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome.
Just yes. That's all you get.
Yeah, just yes. Yeah. Speaking of Ogmium, hey Rolufe, can I have some Ogmium when it comes out? Touch his fingers.
I just never chosen to get the Ogmium because it's just not worth it. Better just get Chronite or Tungsteel.
Yeah, I've noticed that the sliders for Ogmium compared to like Tongue, I mean, they're better. They're obviously better, but yeah,
they are
really painful to make.
Yeah,
price is such a huge difference.
Yeah, it's top tier. It's quite consuming. You need to make an effort to create a set of that, and that is of course by purpose.
Yeah, definitely. That's just a really it is painful. I think like how long does it? Because Rulufe, I'm asking you because like I know you have more knowledge on this than I do because you guys have your guild's like notorious for Ogmium. How long is that process? Has Aralis ever mentioned how painful the process is or how long it takes?
Oh, I'm not sure. Aralis was doing pretty much all of that stuff while I was fighting.
Dang.
I just helped him out transporting.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
He did host the tournament with Dread. I was the only guy from ID. And there was another 19 Dread in there. I won the tournament, and the win was to get one of the Ogmium sets. But I didn't want it. I took 2 Chronite sets instead.
Wow, yeah. Imagine. Hate to see it. Oh, speaking of Ogmium, Henrik, I have a question for you. So, 'cause I know this was brought up multiple times. I've seen this in I don't know how many forum posts in the Mortal Online 2 forums. The blast furnace, are the plans for the blast furnace still just to have one blast furnace in Gaul Core, or will there be another one like placed like in a centralized location or anything like that? Or do you have any?
No. It will be in Gaul Core. There will be some other things and options in the world, and like I said, we're working on the resource distribution as well. And we are planning to take the step towards the other continents as well, which also rearrange positions, and there will be other options as well. We're thinking in the long term. It's it's not a quick race here. We're here to build up an amazing game for the future as well.
Question similar to his question. People want to know, why does Starville hate Kranesh so much? Like, what's unique about Kranesh?
Why we hate it?
Well, if you think about it, every town kind of has like its unique thing about it. So, I mean, what can we expect to see for Kranesh, or I guess Clue or
Guys,
something maybe?
I couldn't think of it.
But
Yeah,
I think 30
I see that.
FPS is the unique thing about Kranesh,
Yeah,
isn't it?
no, it's gotten better.
worst
It's gotten better. It's
Time
better
dilation,
now.
dude.
You have that.
It's good.
No, but I mean, yeah, Greenwich was always this little small outpost without guards. So obviously, those that were not following the laws and or murderers and so on were hanging out there and had that as a good outpost. But like I said, also again, that is just one option. Again, you can build your own perfect Greenwich wherever you want when you get to access to the first step of building housing in cities.
I felt like Kranish had a unique feel to it. Out of all the places, that was one of the most memorable because it was like tucked away in a mountain, right in the middle. It was a lawless town, and there's not that many lawless towns, right? I felt like it was already pretty unique.
It's the only lawless town because I don't really count Jungle Camp as a town. It's like it's a camp, you know.
Yeah.
But Greenwich is like a whole town. I mean, I guess Galcourt too, but like Galcourt's kind of like it's Galcourt. I can't explain it. It's just Galcourt.
Mm.
Yeah.
It got all the high-end materials.
People keep
it's
asking
crazy.
in my chat, what guild is everyone in? Obviously not to Henrik. But...
Also, Henrik. What guild is Henrik in?
Yeah, what guild is Henrik's in too?
I'll be starting my own when I start. I don't know what it'll be called, but I have some plans for what I would like my guys to do, what we want to do.
Can
I don't know what the name
if
will be.
it'll be like anti-RPK or RPK, or you don't know
It's
yet?
gonna. So the big thing, I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to give other people the same idea to try and. But we're hoping to build a strategic location for almost public use, and then we're going to use that a little bit to do a little light role playing and kind of create also a gameplay mechanic that people can go, ooh, we can just go over to, you know, whatever Nazori's guild is and you know, bunker down there and use that for certain things. So I have an idea. It'll probably revolve around mining, setting up maybe strategic locations that would be extremely useful, and then working with other guilds so that they can use it and whatnot, and then kind of hopefully open up an avenue for a little bit of role playing. I think it would be pretty interesting.
Are you all going for keep slots?
I don't have any current plans for that, just because I don't know what the size of competition will be, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a play it by ear. Because I don't like having big guilds. I like keeping it small enough so that we can kind of more have an identity. And so mine, I don't think we're gonna be going for keep.
Right. From what I've seen about concerning the keeps, because from what I've seen from Henrik's pictures that he showed in his past streams, the keeps are actually pretty freaking huge. They look like if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, Henrik, but with the intent behind the keeps is the keeps are meant to be held and controlled by big guilds because of the size of it, because it's hard to defend if you have a small guild.
Yeah, naturally that will most likely happen. And also, you know, there are only 16 keep locations. So obviously there may be a conflict who's getting what, naturally. But yeah, of course, we also want to make sure that there's a cool step for smaller groups. So it's not just all or nothing.
Right.
We are spending a lot of time in making these awesome strongholds, which is
strongholds,
for smaller groups or larger groups. And then we have it could be the big demand for the castle locations because they have they're even larger. The castle is larger, and they also have the unique defense with the walls. But I think that, you know, it's going to be cool for smaller groups and larger groups to also, you know, build their cities, and they can utilize strongholds, which is like a small fortress castle as well.
Right, and with the stronghold, they're not small either.
No.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, you in your stream we had a picture of it. You had a player model, like on it just for scale, and it's actually it's a pretty respectable. It's a pretty respectable size. Yeah, if you don't. Yeah.
It is larger than the keeps in the first game. So, you know, and that was the biggest structure she built in the first game. So yeah, it is a big step up. I mean, we need to follow the scale of the big world, right? So we're offering a wider spectrum for the players, from small groups to the big groups.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Hey, Putzin, you had asked about guilds. Did you have something your guild was planning on doing? Or did you wanna...
Yeah, I mean, we want to definitely help out the newer players in the north. Historically speaking, the town that I live in, Fabrinum, has always been kind of like a squalor shit show for new players. Because
Very fun one too, in my opinion.
Yeah, the previous guilds in history have not been kind to the citizens of Fabrinum if they were not on their team. So we kind of had the goal to kind of like liberate this town and make it like more new player friendly and just more respectable in general. It's a very strategic location. If you don't know the map very well, it's kind of like it's on a very good trade route on the north from getting Calx to like GK area. So it has like a lot of potential for trade and stuff. As long as it's not being overrun by certain groups that don't use it, use it for naughty purposes and stuff like that.
Naughty.
Yeah,
dude.
Wait, we only got one answer, so I know Rolufe is an ID. I already know that, but he
What's
didn't
ID?
say it.
What's ID?
Imperial Dreams.
Yeah.
The Illuminati of Mortal Online.
It's basically a neutral guild, I would say, more than an ARPK guild. But we try to just stay in one location and defend it from basically anyone that want to try and attack it. Make a safe place for newbies.
I have such a hard time with the RPK. Everyone kind of blankets you black and white, whether you're an RPK or not. Because I remember when we were playing the stress test, we messed around a little bit with trying to actually rob people in game, and we started getting labeled as straight RPKers, and it was a little frustrating. I was like, I'm just trying to have a little fun, and we were actually like stopping people on the road, role playing with them, having like duels out in the open for them to keep their things and whatnot. And yeah, we got immediately labeled by some people as RPKers. I don't know how I'm gonna handle that in the new upcoming.
That'll
tough.
happen.
It's tough to create an identity. It feels like
I hate that so much.
There's so much politics and like propaganda in this game from all guilds, really. Like you can't stop it. Like you're gonna get labeled as this and that, and as long as you're streaming, people will come into your stream and see what you're about. More so from that, like you know what I mean. So there's really
of course
you could do about
it. Didn't bother me too much. It was just like you could definitely. It seems like everyone always says like, oh, we're an RPK or a neutral or a non-RPK or whatever. Someone's asking about being able to hide names or guild tags. Is that a feature that is planned or being implemented?
I mean, yeah, that is a little sensitive and tricky one as well, because how we always say that reputation is something important in Mortal Online. That is also why we're investing a lot of effort in building up one powerful character that have more options than in the first game. And we do want the players to feel that they invest in it and also invest in reputation. So, and that could also promote that you may think twice before you're acting like a fool, because you have one important character and its reputation is important. So, and with that said, I mean there are room for thievery and assassination skills that is also coming soon. We're adding these shrouded hoods and stuff like as well, and we kind of like the idea of that. Okay, that could limiting some of that. You're trying to hide
capacity.
Yeah, and you're trying to hide your identity a little bit. You may need to be a step closer. We kind of like that idea. It makes sense and it fits. But yeah, like I said before, I think that still it's important that if someone is fooling you or killing you, if you don't know their name or guild, then you can't really build up that reputation in a good or a bad way. So I think it's still important that the players can interpret that, or you're bypassing that whole reputation system.
I think just the tools. As long as the tools are there, like players are going to find a good way to make an interactive game out of it. So that's really good. That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of cloaks and stuff, I know y'all released the new armor. What's it called, Ranger armor? Yeah, it looks really good. Speaking of like it's meant to be like a cloak and dagger type of armor set. Specifically, are you guys have anything in the works concerning like something that's like mage oriented, like robes or like some kind of battle mage armor or anything like that? Something dedicated for that?
We're actually working on our mage armor right now as well. And we're trying some different designs. This last iteration we're not fully happy with. We want all of them to look really awesome. But we got a new direction now that looks promising so far, and hopefully I can show some of that pretty soon as well. So yeah, really cool mage styled armor.
So what can you really offer mages as far as mage armor? Is it gonna give like more mana regen or something? Because why would we wear lighter armor than we have now? I don't understand. What
Yeah,
would be
so
the benefit?
along with the magic schools that arrives, things gonna make more sense, and there will be more options as well. So it is key vital for a mage that wanna utilize more and more powerful magic, that you're not carrying heavy weight armor and steel and plate, because that will hinder your mana regeneration and how you cast spells effectively. So things will make more sense as well when those more schools comes that also utilize some of that. So yeah, right now we're just trying to make sure that we have a good balance on the different types of armor sets, what kind of penalty from light to heavy, because of course we do want to offer use for all of them, everything from a light armor to medium to heavy. So it's not just like 90% using the heavy one. So we're looking at the different curves and penalties, and to see how can we allow this, because there's also another important area that is coming, like the Thiever and Assassin, where everything from light to this one, Ranger, is actually an optimal set for the Assassin. So there will be skills where you can, utilize how you sneak and so on, and these armors will shine in that area. And that will impact everything from obviously that you make no sounds when you're sneaking up on enemies, when you're trying to do a backstab or stealing from players, or if you're doing missions for nations. If you got a mission, for instance, if you want to work for the Dynamic Empire, and you may want to assassinate some of the important generals or leaders of the Korite tribes, then you can utilize this gear in a efficient way to do those kind of tasks.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big things that I felt missing as a mage when I was playing the first stress test. Is it was kind of more efficient to just be naked, and I hated that. I was like, I really want to be able to build towards something like wearing nice armor or something like that. So hopefully, yeah, some mage armor or some sort of items that we would want to obtain, shiny things. We can go, hey, let's put our good stuff on. I felt like that was really lacking for mages. So hopefully, we get something like that we can,
something to fit the role.
Yeah, a cool staff or something, right? Because right as it stood, it was pretty much just grab your mats and go, and it was just like there was nothing you could put on that was, nice for a battle that was more important. It was just like just grab your mats and you're good.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah,
losing
that's
that
a really
book would be good.
What's that?
Losing the spell book.
Losing the spell book? No.
Yeah, that would be devastating.
Stealing their spells.
Yeah.
Stealing each other's spells and shit. That you hate to see it. Speaking of continuing on equipment or armor and stuff, but more so like of a cosmetic side of it. With dying, there's gonna be is there gonna be a dying system in Mortal Online 2? And if so, is it gonna be the same way as it was in the first game, or is it gonna be expanded on a little bit?
Yeah, it will be similar as it was in the first game, with some improvements. How you can store your different dye tubes with your perfect graded colors. But it was quite cool. We got a lot of good feedback. The process of creating some cool and interesting and unique colors was quite a task in itself. And if you didn't want to step into that deep hole, you could always buy those services from an alchemist or someone that knew how to make those colors. We want to follow that base in this game as well, but we want to refine it and make sure that you reset the colors. There were some stupid mechanics in the first game where you have to go through all that hurdle again to re-dye your gear. So obviously we want to make sure that you can save your colors and use them more than just one time and stuff like that. So
like add a lot of quality of life to the mechanics.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know the alchemy in Mortal Online in general is just really in depth. It's a rabbit hole of its own. But dying was like that was a rabbit hole in a rabbit hole. It was insane. I tried it, and then like I gave up like halfway through. I was just getting them. That was insane. But like that's one thing I do appreciate about Mortal Online 2 is just the depth. There is a lot of depth to the game, and a lot of it makes sense and it's intertwined, and they all like some sort of like you know, symbiosis to it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
because that's like the best way to like explain it. Is just how everything just comes together. And now with the second game, now that you're adding more mechanics, you're adding more features, you're expanding on everything. It's going to be even more so, especially with the PvP aspect. Because something that Nazori mentioned with the ARPK versus RPK kind of thing. I don't. It is too black and white, and I don't like those labels. I just see myself as a PvPer, and adding in like the nation mechanics and the guild v guild mechanics, all that good stuff are getting expanded on. I think it's definitely gonna add a lot of options for playstyles, and hopefully the whole ARPK versus RPK thing becomes more of a gray area rather than black and white, because um, it's just more to it than just like, oh, he's a blue and he's a red and da da da, because I never really was a fan of that like state of mind. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I had a
Go ahead.
quick question. Sorry, change the topic slightly. I was getting a lot of prompts today on thievery, and so from what I understand, in thievery in MO1, you could pretty much pickpocket other players, like literally reach into their inventory and take things out. Is that how it's going to work in MO2?
Yeah, the core of it's gonna be similar. So there's a few things we want to change, and that is we want to make sure that there's some risk, in, along with being a thief. Because in the first game, you could run around naked, you pickpocket, steal something. If you fail, you died, and resurrect and repeat. We want to make sure there's a more balanced and more exciting part for the thief as well, to try to be a successful thief and plan the thefts and use tools to be a successful thief. So there's some cost and risk involved for the thief this time around to perform a theft. And of course, also if you're wrecking your reputation in that city, that may push you out from the city eventually as well. So you need to be more planning and use more mechanic and some tools to be a successful thief this time around. But yeah, the core essence of it, like you can reach into someone's pocket, which was quite cool. You did this little animation, trying to reach for someone's pocket. So only by looking at other players, you say, hey man, that guy may be looking at your pocket. Watch him. And if you turn around and he was looking at him, there was a penalty that it was easier to catch him red-handed, So it was quite cool, interesting, and there was a lot of famous thieves making a living of being
Yep.
a thief in Team or Modern 1. So yeah, we for sure gonna have the core assets from that, but we wanna refine it and add more logical risk and reward for the thieves.
That's good. Yeah, I was a bit
Right.
worried when I heard about it, and as long as we're looking at a proper system of balance there, I think it'll be good. It's a very interesting system that I don't think I've really ever seen in an MMO. There's probably been an MMO that's done it, but I've never played one. So I'm interested
Thievery
to
is
see it.
wild. Thievery is wild, man. I'm telling you, it's
How
crazy.
far away from like wagons and like multi-person mounts are we?
I can't say for sure. We're just wrapping up the fully horse system from equipment to everything. So when we deliver this next step, we need to look over. So okay, what kind of can we expand our resources and actually have some more multiple areas simultaneously? Like we're looking at there's obviously a big demand. When can we mount these different bears or wolves, and when do we get the lycators and mulvas, famous mounts from the first game that we want to step into quite soon as well. But yeah, naturally the expansion of the normal mounts today is the wagons and multiple mount slots. So we need to consider, do we want to spend resources if we can't expand the animation team into stepping into a few more mountable creatures before we step into the wagons, or are we having a release where we can actually expand the animation team even further so we can take both steps simultaneously? We also try to look where's the most value for it and what does the player base want. We do know that we want wagons early on because it's a really cool feature and it's a very effective way to transport resources and goods and do trading and tasks within the game. So it is an important feature we want early on for sure. But yeah, right now we need to plan that step along with what kind of resources we will be looking at for persistent as well.
Will you be able to breed all those different mounts and pets and such?
Yes, we will have breeding as well. Again, I don't know exactly when, but so there's one big different thing that also changing here. So animals and creatures and stuff can be pretty much wiped from Nave, and it will have a slow progress to grow back in the world. And that means obviously if there's a high demand for horses in the world and all horses is being tamed and killed off, so there's a high demand and a shortage of horses in the world, then obviously there will be a high demand for breeders. And that is something we want to promote, because the tamer profession was pretty much pushed out from the breeding profession. You only needed to tame a few creatures, and then the breeder were, you were just a breeder to mass produce those animals and even make them much better. So that pushed away the tamers from the game quite a bit, and we don't want to make the same mistake this time around. So we put the demand on a breeder in a more logical way. If they want to, we need a huge supply of horses. Okay, then you can send out a lot of tamers in the world, but if there's a low amount of horses in the wild, then you may want to look into breeders. That is one component that is important for breeders. But also, like, the breeders can still refine some of the visual looks of the creatures, but also refine some of its stats. So there's also a little bit to that when it comes to breeding.
Someone asked earlier, so I'll just throw this in because we're talking about breeding. Are all types of creatures that are tameable at least going to be breedable?
Yeah, the goal is that all creatures that can mate out in the wild, as long as you have a male and female, you should be able to put those in your farms and make them breed. So that is the design behind it, and that is also why we have females and males. Right now, I think we only have male horses, if I'm not mistaken, but we have the females as well prepared, and you can visually see if it's a male or a female by looking at the actual creature, which is quite cool. And of course, you need two different types to breed something.
What about trolls? Can you breed trolls?
No, those are quite specific. So that's a different story.
What about playable races? And on that kind of two-part question, will we ever see like races that kind of take the Thursar concept of like gaining rep and like amp that hardcore up? Like, let's say like you could pick like a tribe rat, right? And tribe rats, like, who the fuck cares about tribe rats? Like, everybody hates tribe rats. You'll never be able to live in the city. Is there any plans for stuff like that?
Wow.
Do you mean that if you progress in their standings, you mean that you're accepted by those species, or do you mean that you can play them?
Yeah, like, will there ever be like playable races that like are never allowed in like blue towns, or like maybe this faction you'll never have rep with them ever, you know what I mean, stuff like that?
Yeah. So as a baseline, we in the near future we haven't planned to offer new races to be played. But over the years, when we talk through these again, now when we actually make Immortal Line 2, where we're expanding the borders and can do a lot of those things that we couldn't before, I have discussing with Match that there are things that make sense that can be offered for the players in certain times of the game that can offer something like that. So that is the short answer. That there is some possibilities that a player could play that something different. But right now we don't plan to add a new race that you can pick from character creation. But there are some thoughts behind it that we may be looking at in the future that can offer something new to the players.
Yeah, that could be an interesting mechanic because I know you're referring to Putzin. I know there's some games that do have stuff like that. I know Lord of the Rings, they have PvP, but it's like player versus monster player, so you can play as like an Urukai or a spider or a warg. So yeah, I see where you're going with it, Putzin. Yeah, that I guess that could be something pretty cool. Maybe down the line, but like Henrik said, there's right now they're just focusing on getting the game out. But that's definitely a good idea. That's definitely something like could be put on the whiteboard or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean it makes sense. We have a very robust system that, for instance, you could actually today play as a Rysar because our system supports it. You can equip all these different weapons and gears, as a Rysar. So, and we built the system in mind because we knew that we have ventured into that area in the past, and in the future that could be some cool options. So we made a system to be open for that and not be closed for that in the future. But right now we're focused on, like you said, the core and the first steps before we can
I already asked
proceeding
about the
to something
goddamn
like that.
wagons. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, just a heads up, guys. I do want to start wrapping this up in the next couple of minutes. So if you have any last second questions or anything like that, feel free to bring them up now.
What about
Um,
spear stance?
Spear
Spears
stance.
dance went.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spears dance went though. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like we discussed before, we have all these different special moves, right, for every single weapon group, and obviously one of those for the spears are the spear stance. And this time we want to refine that stance to make it a little bit more useful and effective. So it does kind of what the intention was in the first game. It was quite lacking in the
Fuck is
first
this
game. It
wagon
wasn't super
shit?
effective. So this time we wanna do a round of at least one special attack for each weapon group. So it's interesting that okay, now I can do this kind of specialization thing when I'm an expert with axes or swords or whatever it is. And yeah, spear stance is one of those for spears. But yeah, we don't have a date yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Speaking of weapons, I had a homeboy of mine here. He's been asking about it a couple times. With fist weapons, how far into development are fist weapons and the triple strike? When can we expect to see it? These fist weapons.
Yeah, so these two is the dual wielding weapons and fist weapons that we were planning to implement them and we were working on them, early on in combat beta. But we decided when we tested them out that they didn't make sense. We were basing it from the first game. It wasn't really fitting the higher quality of level when it comes to everything we tried to refine this time around. So we said that, okay, they require some rethinking and retesting, and it's going to take a lot of time to get that in now. We don't want to sacrifice important other areas to get those. So we decided quite early then on that we need to put them on hold until we again can revisit and are in need of more options in terms of weapon groups and fighting styles.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I
Someone's
guess that makes
asking
sense.
about murder count timers.
Oh,
they take
that
so
was a
long
Oh
to
yeah,
burn murder
one.
counts.
8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, are we
That
seeing
one-
any change to that, or something that helps with that, or?
So yeah, we're looking over that as well. The thing is that we wanted to separate those things in terms of, in the past when you were red, you couldn't enter a city because the gods react instantly and so on. But we wanted to separate those things that okay, you can become a murderer and a wanted player, and you can have bounties on you, but you can still be have a good standing in the different nations and areas, and they will allow you and offer different services depending on your standings. And then we wanted to make sure that the red is pretty much that's another layer of that is the bounty system. So you can pretty much ignore that. You can still access to the cities and do all those things as long as you're on a good foot with that nation.
Do the guards protect you? That was the big problem for me is I was keeping my standing in check, and then literally during a half-hour fight I racked up, I don't remember, some 400 hours. Like we had like one big battle, and I suddenly was now weeks into the hole of like I'm never not going to be red. And then guards from then on never protected me, and it was so punishing, and I was like there's actually no way to recover unless I were to keep my character online for a solid month and wait it out, right?
Yeah, and that is something we plan to change, because the thing is, when you visit a city and you don't have a bounty, you have a good standing there, the gods' task in those cities is to make sure no one is killing each other's. So that is the intention. But it could still mean that you could have a bounty on you, and if some player bring this bounty ticket, they're allowed to engage in combat with you, even in front of a guard, because the guard will see that okay, you have the rights to kill him, take his head, and put it in.
Interesting.
Get a fee for that. So yeah, the big thing is that in those grand cities where there's high security, it wasn't really meant that you're killing people left and right, because the gods, it wouldn't make sense. Like in real life, he's wanted, I hate him, so I'm going to kill him. The police will make sure that you don't kill each other, solve it in court, or that type of methods that kind of make some sense or follow some logic, and that is what we're aiming for.
Actually, well, I think he was referring to back in stress test when you were red, you literally couldn't defend yourself, and people would
yep.
attack you and not go criminal.
Yeah.
That's actually been
That was
changed.
annoying.
So right now, the only
I'm seeing in chat that
Yeah.
your standing matters, and if you up your standing with a given city, you can farm that up, I guess.
you farm like
So
rise to get red.
that sounds way
Yeah.
better. As long as
Yeah.
there's something to be able to correct that situation, that's all that I really cared about. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like you've already changed
In a better
in a way.
spot now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
take a look at it here in a bit, and hopefully it's it sounds way better already.
The only penalty to being red right now is you have to spawn
murder
at a
counts.
red priest.
Yeah, you
So-
can't give murder counts either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we don't have the bounty system either yet. So yeah, it's more like a side thing now. Okay, you have a murder count on you, and that is a system to logging that you have done these crimes, and the plans are to hook that up to the bounty system as well.
I almost feel like that murder count, if we have any sort of time ticking, it should be an offline murder count, like a murder timer. The online murder timer was, just hard to deal with. Mentally, it was like I have to be online for this long to get rid of murder counts, and it really encouraged. I felt like macroing and staying online artificially while you slept. So I don't know if that's still if we're gonna have timers like that on murder counts or anything like that, but
yeah. I mean,
offline
we
would
will
be
see
fair.
in that area, but the thing also that we think makes sense that bribery and things like that have a big part of this game world as well. So that means that you could actually affect that timer or numbers by bribing and doing specific tasks in the game as well. So you actually do have some control over that as well.
and that
Like
essentially
paying
solves
gold.
it. Yeah,
Like
That's
paying gold to
huge.
remove a murder count or something like that. That'd be
any sort of
That's
mechanic
out
that
of
the
the
player
cost,
can
yeah.
use or shoot towards to correct things like that really solves the problem. The problem was is you felt helpless. There was no other avenue besides being
Waiting.
logged in. So yeah, and waiting. So as long as there's some sort of avenue there, that's all that really matters, I think.
You could be a mass murderer, but as long as you're rich, you're good, boys. No
As
problem.
long as I mean,
Easy.
it's just real life. You know what I mean?
Oralis can be a murderer now.
That's
man.
hapless.
Oh yeah, the endless gold. But yeah, so and you guys have any other questions or anything like that? Comments, concerns?
Yeah, more close related. Roadmap ETA. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so right now we are really, focusing on the stress test. It's a big step for us. We have done we implemented a lot of tools, and just to make sure that we can see and monitor everything. So it's a very valuable stress test for us. It's highly refined since our last one. So we simply hadn't had the time at all to, look into finishing that roadmap and post it online. We have a pipeline. We know exactly what we're working on, what we need to do in these last steps, and obviously it doesn't include any major system that needs to be built now, because obviously that would be a very risky thing. So very stable process now that leads up to the persistent, in terms of just making sure everything we have planned for is making it and are stable, and squashing all those bugs that are annoying or critical, and having stability.
Right.
But yeah, the schedule doesn't end. I mean, because persistent is just one step when we start the game world, and then we continue every second week, just like we have done. So there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline that is close to be finished, but it's just that we have the different steps when, okay, now it goes to the test and now it goes to the live. So that pipeline is already full with a lot of future content. So again, 2 weeks after persistent, as long as there's nothing, obviously we need to focus and make sure that in persistent we expect a lot of pressure from all kind of, all those servers and so on, players showing up. So we know that we may have to be able to just monitoring everything, to be on top of things, and make sure that we can deliver stability for when players are actually buying game and playing it on release, because then things matters as well. It's persistent. But of course, as soon as possible, we're going to go back to the normal schedule in terms of fulfilling the 2 weeks intervals, and put that on test, which will be more intensive testing phase when it's a new thing, and then it just hits the live every second week as well. So yeah, it will be an upcoming schedule that just continue up till persistent and continue after persistent as well. But I think we need this week the stress test. We may be having, if things are smooth, we may be able to do that on the side while we follow the stress test as well.
Right. Yeah, because that stress test. Yeah, this next stress test is gonna be it's a big one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because hopefully things are smoother than the first one. Um, anyone else have any other questions? Because I got one.
I got one, but I can
Okay.
wait until you're done. Sure.
No, go for it. No, go first, man.
All right, mine's kind of a little bit silly, but so are there any plans for Sausage Lake to like anything special beyond just basic fishing? Like, will we ever have like a Loch Ness monster or some shit?
Yeah.
Loot
So
bag in the bottom.
yeah, I mean, there will be things, everything from pickables to creatures, obviously, in all the different lakes, rivers, ponds, and sea. And obviously, the famous sausage lake that I always forget the real name of because we all never use it. Amur's Nuke or something. I don't remember. But yeah, obviously that is a very famous big lake in the center of Milan. So of course there will be something interesting there as well. So we are not really finalizing the water and the sea and flying creatures yet. We are making sure that the land creatures are really polished and are exactly where we want them to be before we venture into the mass, you know, addition
Right.
of water content and air content. But yeah, we have a lot of plants and content for a lot of flying things and obviously water creatures as well.
Right. I did notice because I was roaming in that area the other day and I got on top of a mountain and I noticed that Sausage Lake is actually shaped like a sausage. I don't know if
Is
anyone's
it?
noticed. Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
It literally is.
Hmm.
It's shaped like a freaking, shaped like a phallus,
Okay.
very,
I
it's
haven't
like
noticed. I haven't
it look,
noticed.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's shaped like a dick.
Hmm.
It's shaped like a sausage.
Hmm.
But so that's funny. That's I mean, I already see the Easter egg there. Speaking of Easter eggs, is there? Because I know you've mentioned before that there's stuff in Mortal 1 that hasn't been discovered yet. Is that undiscovered stuff gonna be transferred into Mortal 2 to be found?
Yeah. There's a few things that weren't fully discovered in the first game, and we just want to move them over. All of them are not finished yet, so they will be in game eventually. And it's maybe we can add in the right note that okay, one of those never solved things are in the game, just so there's some kind of confirmation that it's out there again. That maybe makes sense, but we will never reveal those things. It's up to the players to find them and share about that if they do.
I just thought of another question. I'm sorry, this will be my last one. So, do the other guys have a question first of all? So,
I got one more, but
okay, if the
let
other guys,
Oh
everyone
no,
else
I'm
go
good. I
first.
I have I had a whole list, and I kind of we touched on pretty much everything I wanted to hear about. So it's been pretty awesome.
okay, I just wanted to ask for are we gonna bring back the leaderboards for like satyrs killed, all that stuff? Because I actually made top 20 satyrs killed all time in MO1, and I didn't even realize it until like years after I quit, and I thought that was really
Hmm.
cool. So any plans for that?
I mean, we have all the tools and support for it, and it's also even hooked up with the Steam system and with all the titles and so on. So we need to consider it how we want to present that, because again, there's a fine line where if we don't have all the vital information in the game and accessible by actually being active in the game, that's one thing. And then what kind of data do we put externally on other websites and so on? But there are some solutions and ways for us to present some of that for those that think that is interesting to engage in and trying to compete at a level. So, but again, it's all a matter of a prioritized order right now for persistent. We are saving and logging every action pretty much, and stats behind all players, so we can always introduce them in a proper way whenever we have the time in the future or whenever we take that step.
Okay, gotcha. That's yeah. You guys definitely have a lot on your plate for sure.
Yeah.
Um, it's incredible what you guys have done in such a short period. All I can say is like Henrik, man, you and your team, you are doing some awesome things. I can't thank you guys enough for, y'all staying passionate with the game and developing it and turning it into what it's becoming. And the game really looks good. The game looks freaking amazing. It runs well. It's already more stable than Mortal One. I'll say that right now.
Yeah.
Combat's freaking amazing. I mean, it's an awesome game. Like I just can't wait, for all the features to be completely implemented and to enjoy the game for what it is.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
We're
You've been on a journey for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate the words, and we really, appreciate all the support that you guys are giving us. Awesome feedback, and it tells that we're doing something right, and we are very, we are sticking to the plan, and will deliver, at 100%. So yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah. I do have one more question. I was saving the most important question for last. When, if possible, when would is there any plans for Kitten 2?
The question is if we will ever have time, because we are so busy with Mortal Online 2, and there's so much ahead of us. There's so many features ahead of us that we even never got to in the first game, and we're doing things much faster and more efficient now. So it won't be long until we surpass the amount of features that we had in the first game. Many may think that, oh man, we were running Mortal Online for 10 years, but if you look at what happened behind the scenes and how we produce things, it's a day and night difference. And I'm sure you can tell also by every patch we've done is quite massive. You can't really compare those patches with any other large game that are live. That is not usually the typical production way of delivering something. And we're not gonna stop. Quite the opposite. If we can expand our team, we're gonna step up the game even more. So I'm not sure about Kitten 2 as of right now. I think we are
Dang.
quite busy with Mortal Kombat 2 for quite a while before we can start looking at anything.
Man, I'll have to tell the Kitten 2 fan club then.
Yeah,
Let it
I mean,
run.
Kitten was actually a really awesome and well done game.
It's
We got a lot
cute.
of
It was cute.
yeah,
I'll
and we
admit.
got a lot of
Yeah.
attention from major companies. They said, well done game. It's it's polished. It works. Everything was awesome,
Fuck is
and we
Kitten
got like
Online too, dude.
everything from 8 to 10 out of 10 rates from anyone playing it. So it was awesome, So yeah, we learned a lot, and especially that game was also built on Unreal Engine 4, which was a good step for us to go through that to learn more about Unreal Engine 4 while we took the step to implement Mortal Kombat 2 into it. So
Fuck is Kitten Online.
so we learn a lot, believe it or not. We learn a lot from that game for Mortal Kombat 2 as well. And yeah, we produced a game on consoles and VR, so we got a lot of knowledge there. Also, very useful for the future of Mortal Kombat 2. So it may seem like an odd game coming from us, right? But
Not
there
at
are
all.
some
It fits
things
the
that
lore. What do you mean?
yeah,
It's immersive.
it was a cute game, and like I said, we got a very good review from everyone, so it was awesome.
Maybe a Kitten's Easter egg in Mortal?
Yeah, I mean, we actually discussed some of the things from that game that kind of could fit as a mascot or an Easter egg in Mortal Kombat 2. So we will see if we will do that or not, that we talked about.
Okay, go ahead, Nazori. I think you wanted to say something.
Oh no, I'm good. I just pulled it up. I remember seeing that a long time ago. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, yeah. Starvault developed Kitten. It is a cute game. I mean, like all memes aside, it is a pretty cute game. You guys,
Yeah.
the cats are pretty cute. But anyways, guys, we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys so much, Putzin, Rolufe, Henrik, Nazori. Like, thank you guys for coming in and giving me a time out of your day to come in and talk and goof off a little bit and talk about the game too. It was fun. It was cool knowing you guys too, because I know Nazri and I we never talked before. I talked a little bit with Putzin and Ruluf I've known for a while. And then Henrik. Henrik actually I never really talked to Henrik past the combat alpha. Like we just ask him questions and shit. So it's good to talk to everyone here, just kind of get to know you guys and just talk about the game that we love playing so much, man.
Yeah.
And so it's incredible. Um, Thank you guys for coming. Hope to see you guys again, and I'll see you guys around in Nave too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys
thank you for
as well.
coming.
Thank you so much.
Let me come.
Hey, y'all have a great rest of your weekend.
All right. Thank you. And
Thank
see you soon again in the stress test.
Sir.
Looking forward to
well,
it.
See
All
you
right.
Yeah,
guys.
boy.
All right.
Okay.
Goodbye.
See you
Bye.
guys.
See
Take
you
care.
guys. Take care.
Alright. Right. Well, good stream, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream though. I don't really have anything planned. But I appreciate everybody coming and watching the stream and everything like that. It was a really good podcast. And really thank you guys for watching and following and subbing. I got a lot of follows and subs this stream, so I'm really happy, that you guys are willing to support me and everything like that. I really appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody's questions, and sorry I couldn't respond to everybody because you guys were saying a lot of stuff, and like obviously someone complained at one point that I was talking over people, but like I ignored a lot of stuff. I only replied a few times, so I was trying to keep it down because I knew I was talking. You just tuned into the latest. There was never like a pause in talking for me to respond to stuff, so there was never a good time for me to respond to certain things. But I tried to keep it. I was reading everything, but I could only reply so much, But yeah, I can't ask like silly questions per se, or I couldn't ask like too many because like it's gonna piss off everybody because I'm taking everybody's time. It's not just my time I have to worry about. I have to worry about a CEO's time. I have to worry about three other streamers' times. So I can't just ask silly questions. Unfortunately, I want to, but it's not fair to everybody. So I didn't want to waste everybody's time with silly stuff. I was so tempted to ask Henry what type of Lamborghini he drives, like so many different times, but I just didn't want to waste everybody's time. Thank you guys, and again, thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Braindance, for the follow right there. Again, like if anyone's ever looking for a guild in War Online, hit me up. DMs are always open. Thanks for the stream. Yes, thank you guys for watching. Does he actually have a Lambo? I have no idea. Again, this is one of the questions we need to have answered, but another time probably. All right, I will raid someone. Let's see who we can raid. Who's streaming more? I see Bratwire stream lyrics. I'll just go ahead. I'll raid Dalarius because allowed me to come today, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him some viewers. But again, thank you guys for watching, supporting, all that. All right. AC for life, baby. Bratwurst. What? That's so mean. Don't say that. All right. Have a good one, guys. Peace.